of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Well, something to think about, for sure.
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Phillies get a win. How about that? Plus the Eagles officially report, as well as the rest of the NFL, the training camp. They're calling it Training Camp Tuesday on SportsCenter. That's how many teams are reporting to camp today. So we'll get into a lot today. Aaron Rodgers trying to look like Nick Cage. I mean, that's just ridiculous. If you haven't seen that video, it's all over the internet. So we got to get to that. Phillies win. Eagles start of training camp, things to look out for. Here is our lineup of guests on the show today. Steve Buchanan, DraftKings MLB analyst, will join us coming up in about 25 minutes from now. Phillies Mailbag with Frank Klose, our 97.3 ESPN.com Phillies insider at 3 p.m. Football at 4 with Adam Caplan at 4 p.m. We'll look at the very first things about training camp to keep an eye on from NFL insider Adam Caplan of the Inside the Birds podcast. And then to Tuesday with Thompson, Pete Thompson, and I will chat about the Phillies and the Eagles and poll questions. And that's entertainment. Now, I will preface this by saying, before we get into anything else, that's entertainment conversation today on the Sports Bash will be better than any conversation you've ever heard for that segment, because there is no one more prepared or qualified or more able to have a that's entertainment conversation with Pete Thompson than yours truly. And we'll just leave it at that. So, a lot to get to on the show today. I want to start with the Phillies. And, last night's win, there were so many things that happened last night in that game that stood out to me. And, one of the things that stood out to me was, one, he's not getting talked about a lot right now, but I'm going to talk about him here. And Bryson Stott, when he was interviewed last night, brought him up. And that's Alec Bohm. This is a guy in Alec Bohm who earlier this year was criticized, and then he responded to it well. And he's had a very interesting year, to say the least. The majority of the time, third baseman, part-time DH for the Phillies. You could argue that last night, in many ways, came down to him putting them in a position to be successful. Now, look, I know a lot of the attention is going to go to Bryson Stott because he had the home run. He had 5 RBI last night, a career high. But of those 5 RBI, 2 of those runs scored were by Alec Bohm. Since the All-Star break, the 2 hottest hitters in the Phillies uniform are not the highly paid guys. It's not Schwarber. It's not Castellanos. It's not Real Muto. And frankly, Hoskins is very fortunate that he didn't have a worse night last night, to be realistic. No, the 2 hottest hitters have been 2 of their youngest players, Alec Bohm and Bryson Stott. And while Bryson Stott's going to get a lot of the headlines last night, Stott's not in a position to drive in all those runs if Alec Bohm wasn't having the success at the plate that he's been having for the last few days. Since the All-Star break ended, Alec Bohm has a .533 batting average, a .563 on base percentage, and he has overall just been getting on base, getting hits, making contact. You're talking about a guy right now who he is hitting at a scorching rate. And I said it yesterday on the Sports Bash, and I'll say it again here. Moving him to DH last night made a lot of sense because he already been hitting well. Don't let him worry about defense. Just let him go out there and keep hitting. And boy, he kept hitting. 2 for 4 last night. 3 for 4 last night at the plate. 2 runs scored. And he made it possible for Bryson Stott, who you could argue may be the most clutch player on this team this season, who's not named Bryce Harper. Bryson Stott, in the last 4 games himself, he has a .333 batting average. He's slugging .750. And last night, he had the big home run 5 RBI night. But overall, Stott's hitting well and Bohm is hitting well. And it's kind of a catch-22 because on one hand, you're looking around and you're saying, this is great. The young guys are finally coming around. The young guys are taking advantage of their opportunities given to them. So on one hand, you're excited. You're like, hey, we're finally seeing something from the young guys. On the flip side, you're also going to say it's a problem when 2 of your youngest players are 2 of your best hitters right now. Because, like I said, you have all this money invested in Real Muto and Castellanos and Schwarber. Rhys Hoskins is supposed to be one of your veteran hitters, right? Matt Vierling is supposed to be arguably your best option in the center field. And last night, the 2 guys who stepped up big for you were your 2 youngest players who are making the least money, Bryson Stott and Alec Bohm. Now, like I said, on one hand, it's great news because Alec Bohm is the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 MLB draft. And Bryson Stott is the 14th overall pick in the 2019 MLB draft. So 2 of your first round picks were almost completely by themselves responsible for why you won that game last night. So that is a huge takeaway. But I'm telling you guys, there's a part of me that's a little uncomfortable with the fact that I go into a game last night, the first game with the Braves. Schwarber, 0 for 4. Hoskins, 0 for 4. Castellanos, at least he went 2 for 4. He gave you a little something. In fact, it was Castellanos, Bohm, Munoz, Stott, who were your best hitters last night. Vierling barely gave you anything. And as I mentioned, Schwarber, Hoskins, and Realmuto combined for 1 hit last night. Now, look, it's only 1 game. I'm not going to hyper react to it, but I'm just putting it out there into the universe. I need more from the names on this team. I understand Harper's not available. I understand Gene Segura is not available. But Kyle Schwarber, you're an all-star. You're supposed to be one of the better hitters on this team. Same thing with Hoskins. There was a stretch where Hoskins was absolutely on fire. And it seems like for both of those guys, the all-star break put them on ice and took them out of the game. So it's a catch-22. On one hand, you're excited that Bohm and Stott stepped up. And you're happy to see Castellanos at least make solid contact last night. But your 2 through 4 hitters gave you practically nothing last night. In fact, Hoskins with the 2 strikeouts and the almost completely blown play in the field. I mean, you put Camargo on the field for his defense. He commits an error last night. It just felt like the entire, actually, there should have been 2 errors potentially on Hoskins, and he got very fortunate in both scenarios. You got to wonder, how much of last night was the Phillies just, for lack of a better term, getting lucky. You're going against an all-star in Max Fried, and you were able to scrape off 3 runs against him. And it's not that Ranger Suarez pitched horrible, but this is now 3 straight starts against the Braves where he's been knocked around a little bit. And the Phillies bullpen overall actually did a good job last night. Alvarado, Bilotti kept everything in check. So by the time they got to the 9th inning with Dominguez, they actually had a chance to win the game thanks to the Phillies putting AJ Minter in a position where, this is supposed to be one of the Braves' better bullpen pitchers, and you knocked him around thanks to Bryson Stott's home run. Phillies got to keep it going tonight. And I don't know what the answer is for Schwarber and Hoskins and them not playing well right now, but I know what the solution is moving forward. The solution is Stott and Bohm being absolutely in fuego. And if Castellanos can take last night's game, where he didn't make great contact, but he made contact and got 2 hits on the board. If Castellanos can go through the rest of this series, and I'm just putting a number out there, if he can go 4 for 8 in the rest of the series, 2 tonight and 2, tomorrow afternoon, I got a good feeling about him moving forward because he is a streaky guy as well. He is a guy that when he gets rolling, he can play very well. I just want to see more from the rest of this team because you have an opportunity now to win a series against the Braves, a team that is almost 8 games ahead of you in the standings. The Braves have 58 wins on the year. You have 50 on the year, right? So it's not that you're making a massive dent in the National League East standings, but you're putting a dent in a team that is also ahead of you in the wild card standings. That's a big deal. So a lot to digest with the Phillies. We'll talk baseball coming up with Steve Buchanan from DraftKings Sportsbook and also the Phillies Mailbag with Frank Klose at 3 p.m. We are days away from the MLB trade deadline. And I'm, like most of you, I'm waiting with anticipation to find out exactly what this team is going to do, to find out exactly what the Phillies are going to acquire and add. I'm very curious to find out. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. The text board is open as always, 609-403-0973. You also could DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. As I mentioned, also today is training camp day. The Philadelphia Eagles officially reporting to training camp. This, to me, is like the first, checkbox in football being back. When we didn't have any Phillies on for a couple days last week, and you're sitting there and you're watching, your Netflix and your Hulu and your Disney Plus and your Amazon Prime or your HBO Max, whatever you were consuming, you're doing it because football's almost here. And I'm one of those people where I've fully admitted that I get behind on watching shows and keeping up with certain things because of football. There's a point where you have Thursday night football, Friday night high school football, Saturday college football, Sunday and Monday NFL. So you really only have Tuesday and Wednesday that's not quote unquote dedicated to football, right? So we're getting another day closer to that vibe, to that grind, to that excitement, to that anticipation. And part of that anticipation has to do with the fact that this Eagles team had a great offseason. The Eagles did everything they were supposed to this offseason. They gave you improvements on the defense. They gave you a bona fide number one wide receiver. They did everything that Howie Roseman could have done to put this team in a position to be better than they were last year. And I know a lot of people keep bringing up Jalen Hurts, but I'm going to spin it back a little bit. To me, the bigger question going into this season, more than Jalen Hurts, for me at least, is the head coach. Nick Sirianni joins a very infamous list of Eagles head coaches who made the playoffs in their first season with the team. Here are the list of coaches since 1990 who have all made the playoffs in their first year as Eagles head coach. You ready? We're talking about Rich Kotite. We're talking about Chip Kelly. We're talking about Ray Rhodes. Not Andy Reid and not Doug Peterson. Now, look, I'm not saying that because I'm going to sit here and throw him under the bus, but Rich Kotite went 10-6 and 11-5 in his first 2 years in Philadelphia. Ray Rhodes made the postseason for 2 straight years, his first 2 years in Philadelphia. Chip Kelly went 10-6 for 2 straight years, his first 2 years in Philadelphia. I'm not saying that Nick Sirianni is going to walk down that road. But what I am saying is that Nick Sirianni, the pressure is on him to get this right. Because you found a way to make the postseason last year with a roster that was supposed to be in a transition rebuild. So now you have to prove that last year wasn't a fluke. See, to me, Philadelphia has a very, shall I call it, strange history when it comes to their football team. In Philadelphia history, the 3 best coaches in the franchise's history were 3 of the most belittled, maligned, and criticized coaches after their first year on the job. I mean, Dick Vermeil was vastly, you should see the articles written about him years ago. He was ripped to shreds. People were like, who the heck is this Andy Reid guy? And Doug Peterson, I remember sitting here in this very studio watching texts come in at 609-403-0973 and seeing people on social media criticize Doug Peterson. He can't talk. He doesn't know how to finish a sentence. He sounds like a fumbling bumpkin, right? So Doug Peterson couldn't complete a sentence. Andy Reid was a nobody, and Dick Vermeil was just a college coach. Those are the 3 coaches that have led the Eagles to Super Bowl appearances, and Doug Peterson won you that ring. So Philadelphia Eagles have a very strange history when it comes to coaches. The coaches who have success in year 1 typically don't last. The coaches who have a rough year or two the first couple of years are the ones who have the most success. So now the pressure is on Sirianni to break that trend. The pressure is on Sirianni and his defensive coordinator Gannon and the offensive coordinator Steichen to not mess this up. Because Howie Roseman did his job. Whether you like Howie or not, Howie went out there and he got that number 1 receiver. And he got that defensive upgrade at linebacker. And he got that legitimate starting corner across from Darius Slay. And he drafted 2 guys from the national championship team, Georgia Bulldogs. He did everything he was supposed to do. And now, Sirianni, the pressure is on you to not mess this up. So you guys can tell me all you want about Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham coming off an injury, Darius Slay another year older. But my eyes are going to be staring down at Nick Sirianni to see if this man has what it takes to take this team back to the postseason. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Colin, LBI, and Dan and EHT. We will get both of your messages and more messages coming up a little bit later this hour. But coming up on the other side, Steve Buchanan, baseball analyst for DraftKings Sportsbook, joins me next here on 97.3 ESPN FM. And don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Download it for free from the Apple App Store or Google Play, thanks to First Bank of Seattle.
Our love for sports is what makes us different from any other station in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah!
Number one for live sports and sports talk. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
Hey trader, listen up. The markets have changed. Have you changed your trading strategies? Vantage Point can help you conquer volatility. Learn to trade with artificial intelligence. Text the word money to 813-813 and discover how to predict stock market trends 1 to 3 days in advance with up to 87.4% proven accuracy. No matter which way the market moves, Vantage Point's patented AI can give you a massive edge. Text money to 813-813 to get what you need to stay ahead of markets and find your best entries and exits. Text the word money to 813-813.
Trading involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance. By texting, you agree to the terms available at VantagePointSoftware.com/terms and consent to receive calls and text using automated technology about offers or info by or on behalf of Vantage Point. Your consent is not a condition to purchase and can be revoked at any time. Message and data rates may apply.
Text money to 813-813.
We're Town Square Media, and along with the awesome radio station you're listening to right now, we're publishers of best-in-class national entertainment brands like Taste of Country, Pop Crush, and more. And when combined with our local brands, we can reach over 70% of consumers in our community. At Town Square, all this digital clout puts us in a unique position to help local businesses grow with powerful marketing solutions. In addition to local radio, we're experts at web design and SEO, plus targetable advertising solutions like streaming TV, addressable geofencing, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Spotify, search engine marketing, and so much more. That may sound like a lot of buzzwords, but really all that matters is we can deliver a relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You've got bugs. What's your move? A rattly can? Or a simple spritz? Bugs near your kids and pet? Will it be ingredients you can't pronounce? Ew. Or essential oils? Bother the bugs, not your family. Zevo uses essential oils, which attack bugs' biological systems, so Zevo kills bugs, plus is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo. People-friendly. Bug-deadly. Now at a store near you.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can really control your savings. Because when you drive less, you save more with pay per mile. So you're really in control of your savings. Only paying for the miles you drive. Yeah, life is good when you're in the driver's seat. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Norfolk, Illinois.
With JMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
2 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by the Garden State Beer Company. At Garden State Beer Company in Galloway, their motto is a beer for everyone. Contact them today at 609-232-BEER for the Garden State Beer Company. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on a Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash. Mike Gill on vacation this week. I'll be hanging out with you all week here on 97.3 ESPN. If you've listened to Game Night throughout the year, you know that we do talk baseball a lot on there with my next guest, Steve Buchanan from DraftKings Sportsbook, covers baseball for the folks over at DraftKings. You've seen him on MLB Network, MLB Central, and he joins us right now about almost 4 hours earlier than usual. But Steve, I appreciate you coming on a little bit earlier in the day. How's it going?
Good, man. You know, I would love to use a vacation too. I don't get vacation during baseball, so I'm jealous that, you know, it's great that you're filling in, but I'm also jealous of anyone who's on vacation right now.
Right, exactly. Well, it's one of those things also where it's like, I'm sure for you, when you do get a chance to go on vacation, it's a kind of a weird thing because baseball season basically is like March to almost November. So then you got this like small window when there is no baseball, and you got 2 holidays around that time. So it's like you really go, I mean, how does that work for you, by the way? Like, how do you maneuver the off season when you got Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's right after the baseball season?
Well, it's terrible too because I'm also very involved in the NFL coverage for DraftKings, so they just bleed right into each other. So really, my window for vacation is between February and March, and who's going to go anywhere during February and March? So vacation just does not exist in my realm.
Well, listen, I will say that Florida in February is very nice. So
I'm going to have to look into that.
If you need any tips, let me know. We can chat off the air. So, first of all, I'll start with get it back to the baseball here. So last night in our area, the Phillies, after losing 3 straight to the Cubs, decided to win a game last night. But Steve, it's not Kyle Schwarber. It's not JT Realmuto. It's Alec Boehm hitting .533 since the All-Star break. It's Bryson Stott with 5 RBI last night. It's the 2 young guys who are doing all the production here.
No, and that's something that I think that's been in need for months now, right? Because that was you know, the biggest thing. Defensively, you guys really need to figure it out, though. I can't tell you how many times, because look, I can only watch so many games at once, right? I got MLB TV. I usually got 4 games up at one time, so yeah, I can't always pay attention. I would say between 2 to 3 times a week, I'm seeing a highlight, if you want to call it that, of the Phillies defensively doing something obscure. And it seems to be coming in bunches lately, too. The Red Sox have been the same way. My Red Sox have been atrocious in all facets, so it's not like, you know, everybody's perfect. But the Phillies defensively, and we even saw it last night, the throw from third that really kind of opened up the gates for the Braves early there. With Suarez on the mound, it looked like he was going to get out of that inning, ended up giving up 3 runs without the benefit of a hit. But defensively, they've just been a mess. And it's amazing to me that this deep into the season, we're still seeing that. So it's great that the young kids are hitting, but the young kids also need to step it up defensively.
You know, it's funny because they actually put Camargo into the field last night to
Yeah.
make the defense better. And he commits an error. I mean, Haskins theoretically could have had 2 errors last night. Instead, he goes 0 for 4 and tries to make light of the whole situation. But you're right. Listen, we were told here in Philadelphia by the GM, Dave Dombrowski, who up there in Boston, right? He said, we are going to be able to out-hit and outscore our defense. Well, not a night-to-night basis, my friend. It's kind of a literal, not to use the pun, but a hit-or-miss situation here.
If that's like your motto going into the year, I'm a little nervous. Right. If that's what he's like beating the drum on that, well, our defense isn't going to be great, but we will, outscore the other team. I don't really want to be going by that. So that should have been the first red flag. But he was right. I will say, if there's anything he was truthful about, that is that the defense is going to be a mess, because we've seen it for months now. This team continues to be at the bottom of the league in every fielding, metric that you can get. And again, we just saw it last night, and it really that could have been, if it wasn't for Real Mutu near the end there getting that single to take the lead, that really could have been a mess for them, because the Braves are not a team that you can make mistakes against. So gifting them 3 runs early in that game, it's amazing that didn't come back to bite them.
How concerned are you with Kyle Schwarber basically being ice cold?
We talked about it last time we were on. This is Kyle Schwarber. Right? This is exactly the type of guy you get. And that's why I hate that he's hitting so high in the lineup, because he's not that guy. He's not going to be that guy, because he goes on these extreme streaks where it's, he'll go and he'll hit double-digit home runs in a given month, and then he'll hit maybe double-digit in hits total in the next month. Like, that's literally the type of guy that he is. So he's a great asset to have, because when he gets hot, literally, I could count on my hand how many guys can get hotter than him when he's locked into the plate. But when he is not locked on the plate, he is the Phillies versions of Joey Gallo. That's how bad it gets for him. So you just have to ride it out with him, because he's a clutch hitter. He's got great power numbers. In those clutch situations when he's locked in, like there's not many people I'd rather have at the plate than him when he really starts rolling. But it's not a concern, because at this rate, it's like you just have to accept that's who that player is. So while it's frustrating to watch and we go, oh, maybe this is something we need to worry about, go through his stats. This has been him since he entered the league with the Cubs. That's just the type of guy he is.
Now, listen, we are days away from the trade deadline. So without that information being in front of us, I think every Phillies fan, the one thing they're trying to figure out right now is, no matter who they trade for, because Dombrowski will make a trade or two. It's just who he is. Are the Phillies going to make the playoffs for the first time in a decade, Steve Buchanan?
So here is the benefit for the Phillies, is that third wild card spot is pivotal, because that's really where the path is going to be. I mean, let's be honest. Barring anything major happening, this team is not going to win the NL East. I think we can pretty much chalk that up as a loss, right? Especially with how great the Braves are playing right now. The Mets are about to get healthier with Jacob deGrom making another rehab start. If that goes well, he's back. Sayonara, see you later. East is done. The benefit that the Phillies have for that wild card spot is below them. There are only one other team that is over 500 right now, and that's the Giants. After that, it is the below 500 club. And there are about 7 or 8 teams that are in that club. That being said, the Phillies really just need to play 500 ball. Not that you want that, but they really realistically need to play 500 ball for the rest of the season to probably make that third wild card spot. Because after the Giants, there really is no team that is a threat. After that, it's Miami, the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, the Pirates, Cubs, Reds, Nationals. Who are you worried about on that list? Nobody. Really, the only team you have to worry about is the Giants, and they've been having their struggles. They're a team that was expected to be close to 90 wins right now. They're 48-48 as we are getting close to the month of August. They're a 500 club. So you really need to just worry about the Giants, and then whatever comes out of the Central, whether it be the Cardinals or the Brewers, one of those teams is going to win. One of those teams is going to make the playoffs, most likely. So the chances feel very high for this Phillies team, because again, they don't have to worry about many teams, but they still need to make a move. because you would really hate for them to not do anything. And then for some reason, the Giants start to get hot or something like that. And then you're literally missing out by one spot. So it really feels like a 3-team race for that final wild card spot. But I think that should be very obtainable with this club, them being buyers at the deadline, which they should be, because Dave Dombrowski can't help himself. He'll make a trade just to make a trade. But sometimes that's a good thing. At least you're making a move. So they should be making the playoffs at this point. Because it really is nothing below them they need to worry about. No other teams are really chasing them.
Steve Buchanan covers Major League Baseball for DraftKings Sportsbook, joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. So I was looking over on DraftKings Sportsbook earlier today, Steve, and I think I found my favorite bet on the whole baseball section.
Oh, tell me.
Okay. Under the season specials.
Yeah.
State to win the World Series. New York plus 225. Yeah. I mean, if that's not almost like a safe bet that has value, I don't know what is, because right now, I don't think a lot of people would be shocked if you have a Subway Series in the World Series.
No, for sure. And you're getting that at 225, which is the best odds on the board. Any other state is the second best at 255. And then you have California at 260. And then the field really kind of opens up after that. I feel like that would be a pretty fair bet to make, because you're banking on the Mets or the Yankees, two teams that have are leading their respective divisions in their respective leagues. And a lot of people, like you said, are banking on these two teams to potentially make the World Series. Obviously, the biggest wild card is if the Mets do not make it that far, and it's the Dodgers, and that's obviously from California. I don't think I need to talk to you about, geology and all that stuff, geography. So I don't hate that play at all. I would even go as far as to say, if you wanted to do multiple bets on this, you take New York and California and really kind of cover the bases here. Because let's just say, well, even what if the Padres got hot? What if the Padres, were one of these teams that made that splash, right? That huge splash, or even the Dodgers. Dodgers fans serenading Juan Soto when he's coming to the plate the other night. They're really trying to push for him. If the Dodgers made that trade for Juan Soto, they would automatically be the favorites now, right? Of course. Why wouldn't you think so? So I have no problem taking New York and California. Those feel like the two safest plays, but it is certainly a unique bet in a way to kind of cast out a bigger net to get a World Series winner rather than just hammering it down to one team.
You mentioned Juan Soto. If Steve Buchanan had to predict where he goes, is he a Dodger? Is he a Yankee? Is he a Padre? Is he a Cardinal? Where do you think he lands?
He's a National. He's a National. I do not think that he ends up being moved at the deadline. And I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but here's what I think a lot of people are missing too. So you are getting control of Juan Soto for 2 years at the end of the day, right? So it's not like this is, some people are saying, oh, it's kind of like a short-term rental. A short-term rental to me is like you have somebody who is a contract up at the end of the year, and then you hope to resign him after that. When you still have a couple of years control, that's not really a rental. To me, you just straight up have control. But here's the thing. There is going to be a team out there that is going to have to unload their farm system. You're literally talking about giving up 2 to 3 of your top prospects and most likely a major league ready player in this deal. That's fine. Is that worth 2 years of Juan Soto? Because if you are making this deal with the contracts that he's given up already, you are basically going to need to give this man $500 million at the minimum to keep him. So not only are you emptying out your farm system, you're also emptying out the bank, because you're going to have to make an astronomical contract offer to this player. And, people look at his stats and they say from this year and they go, how can someone like this be worth that? Because nobody needs to pitch to Juan Soto when he's on the Nationals. He has no real coverage around him in the lineup. Josh Bell has been great. Don't get me wrong. But are you going to take your chances with Juan Soto, or are you going to take your chances with Josh Bell? You're always going to take your chances with Josh Bell. So you can walk Soto or whatever. But I think when it really comes down to it, I think that Juan Soto is going to end up staying put on the Nationals, because I just think the ask is going to be too big. The only thing that could make that change that is that the Nationals have been insistent that whoever takes on Juan Soto also needs to take Patrick Corbin and his absurd contract. That is somebody that should not be pitching in Major League Baseball right now, but he has this astronomical contract tied to him, and the Nationals want to rid themselves of them, rightfully so. If that is part of the deal, that likely saves a team one of their top prospects, because now they're going to come back and say, well, look, if we got to take this bum and his $50+ million contract, I'm not giving you prospect, C out of this crop that I'm getting. So it's almost like the Corbin thing might be a blessing in disguise, because yes, you're getting a terrible contract, but you are getting Juan Soto. So I think if that is part of the deal, that could soften the blow, and teams might be more apt to take Soto. But if he does not need to be part of the deal, I think Soto stays in the Nationals.
It's a shame that Corbin didn't pitch in the 90s, or he just would have been a candidate to go to the Braves or the Cardinals.
Sure.
Those, remember back in the day, it was Leo Mazzoni with the Braves, and it was Duncan with the Cardinals. It felt like every pitcher they got, they rehabilitated them into somebody. Like Patrick Corbin just is in the wrong era right now.
Wrong era, wrong team, wrong everything, wrong profession, at least with the way he's been pitching. He's in a lot of wrong things right now. Yes.
Oh my goodness. A couple more things before I let you go, Steve. Steve Buchanan from DraftKings Sportsbook covers Major League Baseball. I want to know from you, when you look ahead to August, who is the team that you have the most concern about in the American League? The reason I go American League specifically is because right now at DraftKings Sportsbook, the National League is the betting favorite to win the World Series.
Yeah.
But the American League, they have the Yankees, but they also have the Blue Jays, and they also have the Astros, and they also have a lot of good teams that are kind of hanging around in the conversation. Your Seattle Mariners, for example, they're another team that's just staying in that conversation.
So a team that's in contention that I think could fall out, is that what you're asking?
The team that you're concerned about, yes.
Oh, it's got to be the Boston Red Sox for sure. They're in absolute free-fall mode.
Do they count as in contention?
I mean, they're 3 games out of the wild card, so I would say that they are still in. Here's the thing with the wild card, too, because there's so many spots. There are 4 teams that are within 3.5 games of the 3rd wild card spot. So, normally, if there was only 2, I would say, oh yeah, these guys are out. Like there's no contention there. But I mean, if you're a team and you're 3 games out, would you say you're out of contention?
I wouldn't, but I feel like to me, it's more than the 3 games. It's the fact that the Red Sox have a minus differential in runs scored. It's the fact that, I feel like when I watch the Rays or the Mariners or even the Guardians, I'm like, hey, those are pretty good baseball teams, and I watch the Red Sox and they just feel like they're like a combination of just mistakes and problems going on.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're going to use teams that are currently in contention, I would say the Twins are a decent candidate for a team to worry about. That division is not really overly competitive, but Cleveland has been hanging around for too long and too long for comfort. I think if you are a Twins fan, I don't think Cleveland is going to go deep, but I also didn't think that we were going to be approaching August and this team was not only over 500, but a couple games out of a wild card spot. And it's not like the Twins have a huge lead in the AL Central. So between the Twins, and if somehow the White Sox could maybe start to put it together, because that team is so good, but they have been underperforming so much, and it's so frustrating. But that's exactly the type of team that if they got hot for a few weeks, all of a sudden they're just not only in the mix, they're leading in that division. Whereas the Twins have been doing enough to get by, but they've had a fair share of injuries. I'm not convinced about that starting rotation at all. So I think the Twins are a good team that could be one that if they start to slide and some of those other teams start playing even at the same rate that they're playing, that's when the catch-up can start coming in. So with Cleveland and the White Sox, that's not something I think anybody expected. So I think the Twins, out of all the teams that are in contention, that could be the one that you need to be concerned about over the next 2 months.
All right, before I let you go, I'm going to rope you into the poll question of the day here.
Oh, okay.
On the station. So when I fill in on the afternoon show, I do these poll questions each day. So my question is today, since today is Taco Tuesday, are you drinking tequila or cerveza with your tacos on Tuesday?
Oh, always tequila. Oh, that wouldn't even be a question. That is 100% tequila for me.
I mean,
You
that
don't
was
look-
probably
you
way
don't
faster
look-
than I
you-
expected.
You didn't look impressed, so I feel like you're on the other side.
Well, for me, it's one of those things, Steve, where I was kind of like, I wasn't expecting what would be said because, when I used to go out all the time, I felt like, you would go out for like a Taco Tuesday and you look around and you're like, well, that group's drinking some cervezas, beer for those who are uninitiated in Spanish. That group is all doing shots of lemon drops all across the bar, but it felt like people were like broke up in the faction. So I'm kind of curious, who goes what direction here.
Yeah, I'll be a hard liquor guy, so I'll absolutely take the tequila. But that's why I don't go out too often anymore because I can't do hard liquor all the time. But if we're talking a 25-year-old Steve Buchanan on a Tuesday night, we'll take the tequila. Yeah, and we'll figure it out the next morning. Yep.
Well, I'm glad to see you had fun out in Los Angeles. You look sharp with the white polo on the set out there. That was good. That was a good look. Steve Buchanan, DraftKings Sportsbook. Follow him on Twitter at SBuchanan24, where he, among half the rest of the internet, has the infamous video of Aaron Rodgers showing up the training camp looking like Nick Cage from Con Air.
Amazing look, and it's just like the content builds itself. So
it absolutely does.
I had to share, but then everybody else started sharing, and I was like, I probably didn't need to do this.
Well, at least we know that you're one of the many places we can find the video if for whatever reason we can't find it.
Yes. Yeah. If you really need to see the video, my page is the only page to look.
Steve, take care. Have a good one.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM. Yes, the poll question of the day. You heard Steve Buchanan's answer. I will give it to all of you at 973 ESPN throughout the day. Look, Taco Tuesday is a thing. People have tried to make different variations, different establishments over the years. But I've been at a lot of times, and I've seen this divide of people, what they will have with their tacos on Tuesday. So is it tequila or is it cerveza? And if you're the person who turns around to me and says, I don't know what cerveza is, then I'm a little worried about you. You need to be a little more cultured, my friend. Because cerveza is Spanish for beer. Josh Hennig hanging out with you guys. Still to come, more baseball talk with Frank Klose over at the Phillies Mailbag coming up in 13 minutes from now.
When you need live sports play-by-play.
Forget it. Out of here. Reese Hoskins will touch them all over that right center field wall.
And the best sports talk in South Jersey. There's only one place to go. 97.3 ESPN.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
If it's just another day, that doesn't mean you deserve just another shower. Nebbia by Moen Quattro creates 4 unique shower experiences: relieve, soothe, clarify, and cleanse, to give you all the escape while using 50% less water than standard showers, making your everyday routine an experience. Water designs our life. Who designs for water? Moen.
With our newest unlimited plan, everyone's welcome. Introducing Welcome Unlimited from Verizon for just $30 a line per month for 4 lines with autopay plus taxes and fees. Our best priced unlimited plan ever.
Did he say $30?
Yep, $30 a line for the whole family. The network you want, the price you love. Switch to Verizon today. Paper-free billing required. Unlimited 5G nationwide 4G LTE. In times of congestion, your data may be temporarily slower than other traffic. All smartphone lines on the account must be on Welcome Unlimited and are eligible only for select promotions. Includes domestic talk, text, and data usage only. Data roaming at 2G speeds.
Man, I slept.
New ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep is made for people who are tired of being tired.
I've never slept like this before. I've never woken up like this before.
A melatonin-free sleep aid made with a botanical blend that contains clinically studied and effective valerian root, hops, and passion flower, shown to help promote better restorative sleep. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Restorative Herbal Sleep. Sleep this good. Feel this good. Available at retailers near you.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
So I used the savings from switching to Progressive 30 years ago to buy tickets to the championship game. You know, between those two teams that didn't exist 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm a big Alaska Palm Trees fan. Which is a team now in the future.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
This is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup sound experiment. We're looking to find the perfect way to hear Reese's so you'll buy more of them. Here we go. Reese's. 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 Hey, get out of here, you little stinker. Reese's.
Reese's. Reese's.
Peanut Butter Cups. That breathy one sounded very creepy, am I right?
Staples has everything for school at great prices. So this year you won't go back to school. You'll be ready to move forward into art class.
A 4-foot replica of the Statue of Liberty using elbow macaroni?
With glue and art supplies from Staples.
By tomorrow.
Right now, 24-count Crayola crayons and Polly Pocket folders are just 50 cents each, and 1-inch binders are only $1.99. Everything on your list at amazing prices. Staples, we're not going back. We're going forward to school. Ends 8/27 in store only, limit 30.
Matt Black Kia wants to give you independence. Yes, independence. Like freedom from down payments, freedom from payments for 3 months, and freedom from your old car. Plus, if you have a job and clear $350 per week, Matt Black Kia wants to approve you today on any brand new Kia or pre-owned vehicle in stock, or one of hundreds of new 2023 Kia models en route, all with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. So bring any trade in any condition, even if you're stuck in a loan or lease. Matt Black Kia wants to get you released. Get cash for your car today, even if you don't buy a car from us. But why wouldn't you buy a new Kia? Because you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Unapproved credit plus applicable taxes and fees. See dealer for details. Not all will qualify. Deferred payment through TFCU. Interest accrues from date of sale. Offers don't combine. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details. Expires 8/7/22. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, Josh Hennig wrapping up the 2 o'clock hour here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. As promised, we'll get some of you guys' thoughts and comments on the text board before we get to Frank Klose and the Phillies mailbag coming up in less than 10 minutes from now. A couple things to get you on the text board. Cole from LBI says, thank you, Phillies. Great game last night. Keep up a couple more games. Sincerely, a Mets fan. Well, here's the thing, Cole from LBI. First of all, I appreciate you listening in as always. To me, I feel like the Phillies benefit more from taking out the Braves than the Mets do. Because remember, the Braves right now are the top spot in the wild card standings. They are 58 and 40. The Phillies are 50 and 46. If the Phillies get 2 out of 3 against the Braves, they cut into their top spot in the wild card standings. Well, in the National League East, the Braves being 2 games behind the Mets, to me, has more to do with the fact that you basically went forever and a day without Scherzer and DeGrom, and then Taylor McGill got injured at one point as well. I just get the feeling that the Mets are going to be okay moving into the month of August because they'll make a trade, and the Braves can't be this great forever. You know, the Braves are excellent at home, and they're solid on the road, whereas the Mets have almost an identical record home and the road. Meanwhile, the Braves have 33 wins at home and 25 on the road. It's a bit of a gap. The Mets have almost identical records home and road. So to me, the way I look at it is the Braves right now are on their current road trip. And you look at their schedule heading in the next month. If you're a Mets fan, you should be excited because the next time you play the Braves, it's a 4-game set in your house. And after that, they got to go to Boston and then to Miami. So next month, the Braves are going to be on the road a lot. And one of those series is with you in New York. So I think you got a lot going for you if you're a Mets fan right now, if we're being objective. Also on the text board at 609-403-0973. I said earlier in the show that my focus is on Nick Sirianni. He's got to put up or shut up this year. I said the history of coaches is not very favorable for guys in their first year. Well, Texter says Doug Peterson and Andy Reid both drafted quarterbacks top 2 in the draft during their tenures, but I get what you're saying. I just want to point that out. Yeah, well, also, Doug and Andy won playoff games without those quarterbacks, too. Nick Foles for Doug Peterson, Jeff Garcia for Andy Reid. They didn't do all of their winning just with those quarterbacks. So, to me, what makes Doug Peterson and Andy Reid two of the best coaches in Eagles franchise history is not just that they, got the Super Bowls, but they found ways to win without their quarterbacks who they drafted. So there's a lot going for those guys in history. Nick Sirianni, can he do it? Frank Klose, Phillies Mailbag. Next.
Saturday on ESPN Radio.
Bogarts, and it is going to disappear into the Boston night.
It's interleague action in Boston as Xander Bogaerts and the Red Sox welcome Christian Yelich and the Milwaukee Brewers, who are fighting for the top of the NL Central.
Yelich, fly ball to deep center field. Gone!
The Red Sox and Brewers. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
School's out, but we are rewriting the math. 0 + 0 = 1 heck of a great deal at Matt Blatt Nissan. That's right, 0 down, 0 payments for 3 full months, and 0 mistaking. That only Matt Blatt Nissan has brand new 2022 Nissan Armadas discounted $5,000 off, plus buy with peace of mind with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Don't see your Matt Blatt Nissan on the lot? Don't worry, you could be driving it home tomorrow.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. With 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 1.9% financing. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $479 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 8/7/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Hey y'all, this is your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
This summer, escape to the Jersey Cape, a place that's real and really charming. Come relax, really relax on our beaches, or maybe just sit on a porch and daydream. Explore our trails, discover our natural areas, or go camping, walk the boardwalk, visit a museum or a lighthouse, experience our eclectic dining, or try your hand at fishing and crabbing. Sample our homegrown fruits and vegetables, local wines, brews, and spirits, or participate in our outdoor activities, special events, and live entertainment found beyond our world-famous beaches. Visit the Free County Park and Zoo for a trip on the wild side. Enjoy authentic experiences where the arts easily connect to nature. The food comes directly from the sea or soil, and the outdoors go from birding to playing in the surf. Stay at a modern motel or a quaint bed and breakfast inn. Escape the everyday and pursue your passions at the Jersey Cape. It's authentically charming and sincerely yours. Escape to thejerseycape.com. Sponsored by Cape May County Tourism.
Sports is what we do.
Segura from a knee throws him out.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station, serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. It's being brought to you by American Airlines and Atlantic City International Airport, ACY. Now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. We'll continue the Phillies conversation now. It's the Phillies Mailbag every Tuesday. Frank Klose, our Phillies insider over at 97.3 ESPN.com, joins us to answer your questions. You've been tweeting at Frank since last night. Some of the questions are very timely considering things that have happened recently. Get all that and more. Frank Klose joins us right now here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. You're on a Tuesday on 97.3 ESPN. Frank, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. So before we get to the questions, I want to ask you real quick because, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Bohm and Stott have basically been the main hitters for this team since the All-Star break. Bohm is hitting like 533 since the All-Star break. Stott's over 300, and he's got the 5 RBI last night. So should we be more encouraged that the young guys are stepping up or more discouraged that guys like Schwarber are ice cold right now?
That's a tough question. I mean, Schwarber did have 1 home run at least in that Cubs series, but yeah, you're right. For the most part, the story has really been the big money hitters that the Phillies have just acquired, mainly JT Realmuto and Nick Castellanos. They have been the ones that really needed to step up in the absence of Bryce Harper in particularly, but also without Gene Segura. Didi Gregorius was injured, and then he's still not really back on his feet. He's still not really hitting the ball that well. They need those guys to step up. That's what they're paying them to do, is to step up. And yet they're getting next to nothing. And now, of course, Bohm and Stott, they are 2 players the Phillies spent first-round picks on and paid nice bonus money to play for them too. They should be producing a little bit too by now. So in one respect, it shouldn't be a surprise that those 2 in particular are starting to give them something around now, but it definitely is difficult for them to win when the other guys are not.
I keep wondering, Frank, because one of the questions you got asked about was Nick Castellanos over on the mailbag and it's not the first time I've heard people suggest, can they trade Castellanos? Castellanos has become a very, disliked guy, shall I call it, in Philadelphia in the last 2 months of his struggles. And I feel like him answering the question the way he did on Saturday, which was a reasonable question. It wasn't a dumb question. We all agree on that. But Frank, I feel like that the dislike for Castellanos was already there. And then his answer to that question only amplified to kind of like pour gasoline on the fire.
I'll give you an example. So who is the all-time Phillies saves leader? Do you know the answer to that question, Josh?
I want to say is it Papelbon?
It's Papelbon, right?
Yeah.
So he was actually pretty good. He was also kind of a jerk.
Right.
And, when you don't endear yourself to the fans, or in this case to a beloved media member, Jim Salisbury, who is one of the most respected in the field, I would say, by the media and fans alike, you're not going to make any friends, especially when you're struggling. So I think that's, Castellanos hasn't made it easy to like him. And I think, yes, people would understand if somebody's, look at Alec Boehm, right? When he kind of came out and voiced his frustration, kind of had a heart-to-heart with the fans, didn't just get angry or surly. If Alec Boehm, after somebody had pointed out what he said on, or what his lips read on live national TV,
right?
Like, what if he just stepped back and said, well, come on, the fans are awful, or like, why would you be asking me a stupid question like that? Well, I don't think things would be going so well right now for Alec Boehm. I kind of gave him a chance to have that reset with the fans, gave them to have a chance to sort of see him as a human being for once. And fans got behind him. And, and one thing about Boehm, he had a really rough night the other night in the field, right? I don't think he snaps back the way he did against the Braves if he didn't have that sort of air cleared. Nick Castellanos has never had the, I want to say I never had the opportunity, because he just created the opportunity to kind of have a clearing of the air and to be right with the fans, and it just hasn't happened. So, I think this relationship is got the potential to be like that Papelbon relationship, just because I'm not sure he's the type that wants to be endearing to either the media or the fans.
Do you think at all that Castellanos is maybe even in a small way regretting signing here? Because aside from April, his whole year has basically been a struggle.
That's a hard question. I mean, in this business, you almost have to go where the money is. The Players Association expects you to go where the money is. Are there times that somebody signs where they didn't want to because what they ideally wanted to get was not available? I'm sure that happens. But he seemed excited to sign here when he did sign here, the way that he announced it on his Instagram, kind of hanging out at the art museum steps. But I don't know if it's fair. I don't know if even he would be able to give you a real answer yet if he regrets it. I mean, it's still a relatively small body of work. I mean, April went fine. May, June, and July have not been going so fine, but that's really kind of minuscule over the 5 years. I still tend to think that he's going to be better than this, and hopefully when things start going better, you'll see him enjoy the game a little bit more. Because I think we do see that he might not be enjoying how things are going right now. You saw that in the conversation with the reporters. You see it with his body mannerisms on the field. So I think there's still time to fix that, but hopefully this won't be Papelbon again.
And by the way, he did go 2 for 4 last night, so it's not like he was a negative player for them on the field last night. By the way, the Phillies lineup, Castellanos still in the 5 hole. Alec Boehm plays DH last night. Camargo plays third base. Camargo commits an error, and it's like, hey, Boehm, get right back out there today.
By the way, I don't blame that error on Camargo. That was a Hoskins error. His placement at first base was all wrong. He should have, at the very least, been able to catch that ball from Camargo, if not also record the out. That's just a side note of mine. But yeah, I think the days off for Boehm, where he's getting these DH spots, it seems like he's going to be in a platoon at the DH spot almost with Derek Hall. He will be the right-hander at DH when they face a lefty, and when they're not, then I think you'll see him at third base, and then Hall will get some playing time then.
Frank Klose with the Phillies Mailbag over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Speaking of the mailbag, I think one of the interesting questions that was given to you by James, and he wasn't the only one I saw ask you this question, Frank. Are the Phillies buyers or sellers? And it's a very interesting question because when you look at the standings, the Phillies are right there with a chance to get the wild card, make the playoffs for the first time in a decade. But I feel like, like you said in the article, Frank, depending on, did you ask that question before or after Bryson Stott hit the home run. I feel like from day to day, maybe that question changes for some Philly fans.
I think this is the reality. Without Harper, without Gene Segura, without Zach Eflin, this is a 500 team. And a 500 team is going to make you feel really good half the time, and it's going to make you feel awful half the time. A 500 team will beat the Atlanta Braves and then get swept by the Cubs. And I think that's kind of the limbo that they're in right now. Now, the good news is the Phillies basically just kind of had to hang in there until the trade deadline, until Bryce Harper gets back, until Gene Segura gets back, until Zach Eflin either comes back or gets replaced. I think the Phillies at least are hanging in there. And I know that doesn't sound very, very much like a playoff endorsement, but I think we're seeing a 500 team and all the frustration that's going to go with it. Now, that being said, the Phillies are absolutely going to be buyers at this trade deadline. Dave Dombrowski yesterday said as much, and really his focus mostly was not on the offense, but on the pitching. And I just mentioned Zach Eflin. The Phillies are a much more disadvantaged team without that fifth starter. Bailey Falter wasn't that great the last few times he's pitched. In fact, I thought Christopher Sanchez did a better job. Now, Dombrowski mentioned both of them by name and said, they're doing a decent job kind of coming up and filling in, but acknowledge the Phillies need a starting pitcher because they can't count on Zach Eflin coming back given the soreness in his knee. Now, the knee has been a recurring problem. It's not just something this year that you'd expect to clear up quickly. So with Eflin down, the Phillies absolutely do need to replace him at the very, very least. I think they would like to do a little bit more, but to me, that is the gaping hole. Dave Dombrowski has acknowledged that as the gaping hole, but he doesn't seem to be interested in doing a whole lot with the team's defense, with the team's offense, because he says getting Bryce Harper back, getting Gene Segura back, that's like a trade. You add these guys on in addition to some of the guys that have stepped up in the interim. Now, for example, when you get Gene Segura back, you can really pick your spots for Didi and Bryson Stott. When you get Harper back, you can figure out what to do with Derek Hall as an extra bat. That's a nice thing to have. So I think the offense will kind of work itself out since those guys have kind of adequately filled in there, and he acknowledges that. But starting pitching absolutely needs to be addressed. And I think when you get those guys back and you get the starting pitching, you go from a 500 team to a tick above that, which is basically a playoff team in this game.
Now, with that being said, my follow-up on that point, Frank, is this. You write about the fact over at 97.3 ESPN.com that you're not trading 6 years of control of Mick Abel and Andrew Painter. So then my question is, not James's question on the mailbag, my question is, Frank, who do you trade? Who is a tradable asset for the Phillies? Because at the end of the day, when Dombrowski does make a trade, because we know he has a history of making deals, he's going to have to trade somebody. So what are we talking about here?
Phillies do have a lot of catching depth. I think the catching depth is going to be the biggest asset that they have to trade. In fact, I was a guest of Quincy Wheeler, who hosts a Guardians podcast called the Guardians Fancast this past week. And one of the things he wanted to know from me as the Phillies guy was, well, what's the possibility that the Phillies could trade the Guardians? I got to get that right. You got to get used to that. The Guardians, a catcher, because the Phillies have that depth. They've got Rafael Marchand, who's a really good defensive catcher and switch hitter. And then they also have Donnie Sands, who is tearing the cover off the ball at AAA, and even beyond that, Logan O'Hoppe. So I think the catching position is their biggest strength for a trade, and it's nice to know that other teams, I mean, even if it is a podcaster from Cleveland, is taking note that the Phillies have something that they might want, as even the Guardians are in playoff contention. So I think they've got some pieces there. Couple of outfielders, Simone Muzziotti played a really nice center field when he came up for the Phillies when they were stuck earlier this year. Maybe Nick Maton. Nick Maton's rehabbing. There's really no clear spot for Nick Maton on this roster. He was very promising this year. He might interest somebody. Maybe somebody would take a shot on Mickey Moniak. Maybe a team that's not the Phillies that can afford to just throw him in center field or left field or right field, wherever they want to put him, and just say, go, play. and then he can maybe get some rhythm going in his career. So I think the Phillies have some things to trade. Dombrowski kind of said, well, if it's going to be trading your top prospect for a number 5 starter, no way. But as we've seen with Dombrowski, he gets creative. I liked last year when he traded Spencer Howard, something he didn't necessarily want to do. He got a pitching prospect in return in Hans Kraus. Now, Kraus is, of course, hurt. Who knows? Maybe Kraus could be flipped at this point. But
the Phillies did walk away with Kyle Gibson because of that deal. And Gibson has been an important pitcher this year for them. So you could argue that Dombrowski did something last year that maybe the prospect hasn't panned out yet, but at least the major league team, that one piece has panned out, right?
That's correct. So I think he will be creative in that regard. That's why I brought that example up. It wasn't the obvious move. We didn't hear a lot about Kyle Gibson being on the market until you got a little bit closer to the trade deadline. Although we're a week out now, I don't really hear about the Phillies connected to anybody in particular, but that's the beauty of how Dave Dombrowski does things. He's pretty stealthy with that. He doesn't give away his hand. So we'll see. I think he's a creative guy. I think that the players he acquires tends to be the ones you don't think he's going to acquire, and it'll go a long way.
Yeah, I'll never forget. People forget that Dombrowski was in charge of those Marlins teams in the late 90s, and he's the one who got Dalton and Eisenreich from the Phillies down to Florida, and those guys were key in winning the World Series. Did the same thing in Boston, getting Stephen Pence, I believe it was, the outfielder for 2018. So he's found interesting guys over the years. Stephen Pierce.
Yeah.
I was mixing up Hunter Pence and Stephen Pierce there. It's a good job by me. That's a scary figure to think about right there, that mutation. But by the way, speaking of catcher, didn't the last time the Phillies traded a catcher to Cleveland, they got Cliff Lee?
They did. Who was it? Lou Marson, never panned out as a major leaguer. The Phillies actually brought him to camp a few years later as a non-roster invitee. I think
did any of those prospects they traded Cleveland pan out? I don't even remember any of their names.
Well, yes, the one that did is pitching for the Mets right now, Carlos Carrasco.
That's
but
right.
Of course, the funny thing was
that wasn't
Indians
his name
at
back
one point
then, right?
designated him for assignment. The Phillies could, and anybody else could have claimed Carlos Carrasco at that point, and he developed much later. But I think the Phillies got what they needed to out of Cliff Lee in 2009.
I think that's a very fair thing to say. By the way, so Frank, a couple things where I let you go aside from the mailbag. So I asked the question recently, and I want to throw it to you. So we were having conversations about, best Philly sports teams to not win a championship, but to get there, which evolved into a conversation of which was the better team, the 09 Phillies or the 93 Phillies. Well, a lot of people were voting for the 09 Phillies, and I kept saying, I think it might be some recency bias because, first of all, there was no Halladay on that 09 team. People forget the 93 team was a pretty darn good team. What do you think about that comparison between those two teams?
Well, 2009, if you remember, that was Cole Hamels' perhaps worst year. It was Brad Lidge's worst year. And kind of the year where even Jamie Moyer kind of struggled for a while and they went and got Pedro Martinez. So, I thought that the 2009 team had their challenges and they tried to eke by through those. 93, now granted, I was 12 years old and not as involved as I was now. But that 93 team, it seemed like every player on that roster had their best season all at the same time. It was like the stars aligned just perfectly that they just it all sort of worked out. And that starting rotation the Phillies had back then with Curt Schilling, Terry Mulholland, Tommy Green, Danny Jackson, Ben Rivera, they were pretty healthy all year. They were consistent all year. And Mitch Williams, for what he saved a lot of games that year. So that's why I think that team was pretty good. So when you say which team was better, I think I like. It's really hard to say because to me the Howard Utley Rollins combo that was unmatched. I mean that to me that exceeds the Dalton and Kruk and Dykstra combo of the 93 team. I feel like they were a step above, but since you're kind of talking about this thing here, I also want to throw in throw into the ring the 2011 Phillies, who I think were the best team I've ever seen, and they got eliminated pretty early.
Yeah, but they never reached the World Series. So
right, they didn't reach the World Series, but I don't know. That's a really kind of hard thing to dig through. I think if you look at the players on the 93 Phillies, they shouldn't have won, but they all just kind of had their best season at once. So that makes it really hard for me.
Like, I think what you said was interesting because I brought this up previously myself. I said, look, Howard, Utley, and Rollins are far and away better than the first base, second base, shortstop players for the 93. I mean, the 93 team had two different platoons going. Actually, three when you think of, wait. So the second base platoon, the third base platoon, and then Stocker came up halfway through the year. So they had four platoons on that 93 team.
So, yeah, actually, it was more. I think it was we did see Mariano Duncan and Mickey
Duncan and
Morandini
at lot. Second.
They weren't really a platoon. They were both left-handed hitters, I think, if I remember my Mariano Duncan right. Or maybe
no, Duncan
not.
was righty.
Duncan was righty. Okay, so really it was kind of those three. Morandini, Duncan, Eisenreich, and Wes Chamberlain. And left, you had Incaviglia and or am I mixing it up? Who am I forgetting now? Incaviglia.
Well, you also remember at third base.
Thompson.
At third base, you had Charlie Hayes and Dave Hollins.
Now, Charlie Hayes was not on that team in 93. So,
okay.
Charlie Hayes.
But Hollins played third base, didn't he?
Yeah, Hollins played third. Charlie Hayes would come back in 1995, I believe it was. 95. Charlie Hayes came back. But he was away from the Phillies during that 1993 team. In fact, my dad didn't love Hayes' defense, so I remember him screaming once. He's like, "We were spoiled at third all these years with Mike Schmidt and Charlie Hayes, and then here comes Dave Hollins, who they ended up moving. They ended up moving him over to first base a couple seasons later there.
Right,
but yeah,
right.
Phillies probably would have benefited from having Charlie Hayes in 93, but no, he left the Phillies after the 91 season.
Gotcha.
And was with Colorado in 93.
Because I know he was 96. He was on the Yankees, so I'll never forget that.
Right, 95. He was with the Phillies, and then he went to Pittsburgh, and then the Yankees in 96.
All right, before I let you go, Frank. So my favorite memory from the 09 Phillies was Pedro Martinez starting Game 2 of the World Series versus the Yankees, and I remember just sweating it out, thinking if Pedro can just give us something, we can win this game. And Pedro put up a good effort. Like, it wasn't like he went out there and pitched bad. I think he had 6-8 strikeouts in that game. And you were like, all right, Pedro gave us something. And the offense didn't do much.
Yeah, it's a shame. My biggest thing with that series, if Cole Hamels was anything close to 2008 Cole Hamels,
right,
and the Phillies might have eked that one out, because of course Cliff Lee was ridiculous. They won both his starts, so. But that was it. Unfortunately, they were the only ones they won in 09.
And they should have won the Pedro start too. That game too, Pedro kept him in it.
Yeah. By the way, I made this comment on Twitter the other day, but Pedro Martinez on the Phillies was just surreal. Just that you actually had him on the Phillies. You know what I mean? After all the years, first going way back to him being an Expo.
Yep.
And then coming back, not as much though with the Red Sox. Of course, those were his best years, and then his time with the Mets. It was just amazing to watch him actually as a Philly.
Yeah, I remember that World Series game. I'll never forget it, in part because of where I was that night, because I was at an establishment surrounded by Yankee fans, which was a mistake in and of itself. But it was also the fact that, I just remember him going out there, and, people kept telling me, oh, the Yankees, they own Pedro. And it was like, I just kept thinking, come on, Pedro, just give me something here. And I'm trying to find it real quick. Here was, he had 8 strikeouts in 6 innings that night. It's not like he went out there and just played horrible against the Yankees. Now, the second start, he got roughed up, but the first start, at least he gave you something to keep you in the game. But, you went out there and you lost. So.
Yeah, losing to future Philly AJ Burnett at that point.
Frank Klose, at Frank Klose with a K on Twitter. Full Phillies mailbag over at 97.3 ESPN.com. And, of course, keep it tuned to Frank and his Phillies coverage as we are days away for the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Frank, good stuff today.
Always good to talk to you, Josh.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We will get to your guys' thoughts and comments on the other side. Of course, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, or you can text in 609-403-0973. I see text from Dan and EHT, as well as Monday Marcus. So we'll get to your guys' comments and more, your messages coming into the show here on the Sports Bash on a Tuesday. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 97.3 ESPN FM.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Calling Philly sports fans. Travel with the pros at Philly Sports Trips. If you're a diehard Philly fan looking for some great Philly sports road trips, it's time to check out the full trip lineup at PhillySportsTrips.com.
We're Town Square Media, and along with the awesome radio station you're listening to right now, we're publishers of best-in-class national entertainment brands like Taste of Country, Pop Crush, and more. And when combined with our local brands, we can reach over 70% of consumers in our community. At Town Square, all this digital clout puts us in a unique position to help local businesses grow with powerful marketing solutions. In addition to local radio, we're experts at web design and SEO, plus targetable advertising solutions like streaming TV, addressable geofencing, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Spotify, search engine marketing, and so much more. That may sound like a lot of buzzwords, but really all that matters is we can deliver a relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can really control your savings. Because when you drive less, you save more with pay per mile. So you're really in control of your savings, only paying for the miles you drive. Yeah, life is good when you're in the driver's seat. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Norfolk, Illinois.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
If you want your dental visit to feel like this, try new Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
with GMF financing approved credit. Excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Check in with your guys' thoughts and comments now. Of course, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And, of course, text board is open at 609-403-0973. So to come on the show, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Adam Caplan, NFL Insider today, is training camp report day for the Eagles as football season is finally ramping up for the start of actual action on the field. And don't forget, Tuesday with Thompson. Pete Thompson joins me at the 5 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Phillies, talk some Eagles, and of course, don't forget about our conversation. That's entertainment with Pete Thompson. All that and more still to come on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Also, my poll question of the day at 973 ESPN on Twitter. So I asked you guys over on Twitter, since today is Taco Tuesday, and I've seen differing opinions about this over the years. So my question is what do you drink with your tacos on Tuesday? Is it tequila or is it cerveza? Well, it's early in the voting process, but right now, we're at 75% tequila, only 25% cerveza. Now, Monday Marcus chimes in over on the text board at 609-403-0973. He says, Josh, why pick one? Why not a shot of tequila, 1800 Patron, and a cerveza to follow? Maybe a Corona since it's more Spanish-based. First of all, Monday Marcus, we'll get to your baseball point in a moment. You know, when you think about it, yes, you can do both. It's just that, as I said earlier in the show, Marcus, I've observed people can be very opinionated about this. They're either, one way or the other. You heard Steve Buchanan say in the last hour when I asked him which one, he was boom, right out of the gate. Tequila, boom, right out of the chute. So you're talking about, that's somebody who's very opinionated on the point. So, I tend to lean toward more on Marcus's opinion. Like, I'm not going to be bent either way about what you want to do with your tacos. But Taco Tuesday, you go out to a local establishment and you see one group of people with their, tequila or their lemon drop or whatever they got. And you got other people with their cervezas. And, as I said, I'm always saying cerveza because it's Taco Tuesday. Obviously, I'm talking about beer in that case. Monday Marcus's other point over on the message on the text board is, even though 2 games is bigger for the Mets trying to get out of Big Brother Yankees' shadow in the city and struggle they had versus AL teams, with a good win by the Phillies late in the game and trying to prove they can hang with the top teams in their division who are way above them currently in the standings. Thank you, Monday Marcus, for chiming in. Couple things there. One, that I feel like is the Mets' biggest challenge. The Mets' biggest challenge is less about the Phillies and the Braves in their division. It really is about the Yankees. And I feel like their owner, Steve Cohen, who's been very vocal in the public, very vocal on Twitter, I feel like he envisions himself as a guy who's going to try to steal the limelight away from the Yankees. That's why I said a couple months ago, and I'm still held by this for weeks now, that I think Aaron Judge is the Met next year. I think that Judge is going to leave the Yankees. I think there's some hard feelings between him and the organization that I think the organization has not done a good enough job of rectifying. And I think Judge, a guy who, when he came up, I mean, he exploded onto the scene. He is a superstar in a city of stars in New York City. Well, you play for the Yankees for 7 years and you feel a little you feel a little offended by the way they've treated you. You know what I mean? You're a guy who won the Rookie of the Year. You're a 4-time All-Star. You're somebody who has, been top 5 in MVP voting twice. So you would think the Yankees would, roll out the red carpet for you. And they haven't. So I get it where Judge is coming from. But I also get where the Yankees are coming from. The Yankees are saying, look, you've been injured a few times over the last couple of years. So the Yankees not wanting to pay him because of the injuries, and Judge is being like, look, I got one big payday coming to me at least. I got to maximize that money. And I can see Steve Cohen rolling on up and give him a Juan Soto kind of deal and just being like, Cohen looks at the Yankees as the nemesis, as the team that's overshadowing them. Monday Marcus is right. The Mets look at the Yankees more of a rival than anybody else. So that's why, if, people I heard somebody say recently, the only people who care if the Mets and Yankees play in the World Series are New Yorkers. And I have to disagree with that. If you are interested in baseball and you're a baseball fan, there's a lot of things that come with a Yankees-Mets series that would definitely interest you and engage you, based on the team's histories and based on, the divisions and they're in and all that kind of stuff. With that being said, I still think the Mets find a way to win the division. The Braves, though, are on their tail, 2 games behind. And, I think that there is something to be said about the fact that, with a team like the Mets, you're going to find out very quickly, how good their organization is, because you can't come out of this deadline without some help. I don't know what that help is for the Mets. I can certainly see them going out and getting, another pitcher to add to that, pitching staff. I can totally see them trying to, I don't know, maybe beef up the outfield. It doesn't feel like the Mets have a lot of flaws, does it, with that roster? So I'd be curious to see what they do go out and get, but I don't think Steve Cohen's afraid of spending money. That's for sure. Dan and EHC chimes in over at 609-403-0973. He says, which GM do we get at the Major League Baseball deadline, though? Did we get Dave Dombrowski or GM Dombrowski? That's from Dan and EHC. Well, look, Dan, I understand where you're coming from. Dan and EHD is a part of the group of Philly fans who look at the Phillies right now and they're annoyed. They're frustrated because you look at the Phillies organization and you say, you didn't build a baseball team. You just went out and spent money this offseason. Corey Knebel, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Yarius Familia. You didn't build the best team through free agency. So I think some people are looking at this roster and they're saying it's a flawed roster. That's Dave Dombrowski's fault. But I'm not going to criticize the guy for going big or going home. It's who he is. It's in his personality. As I was saying to Frank earlier on the show, Dombrowski has a history of making big trades at the deadline. And he has a long history of making trades, period, and finding ways to get big-time players for his teams. Like I said, with the Marlins, it was Dalton and Eisenreich. With the Red Sox, it was Steven Pierce, who had a huge impact on that team's postseason run. You look at those Tiger teams, he's the one who got, Cabrera up there to Detroit. He's the one who, found the way to get Scherzer up there to Detroit. He's a guy who has found ways to be successful over the years and make big trades. So I don't think I can't call the guy dumb. Okay. I understand where you're coming from. You're looking at his recent moves and you're saying this guy has not satisfied me. But he found a way to get Kyle Gibson last year, and the prospect he got is still a pretty good prospect. You know, you look at what he gave up to get Miguel Cabrera, and by the way, that was Dontrell Willis in that trade in 2007 as well. He gave up a lot of prospects, and only 2 of them did anything in the major leagues. He gave up 6 prospects, and only Cameron Maybin and Andrew Miller had legitimate and Major League Baseball careers. So, and Cabrera became a huge part of those teams and their big runs. Now, you're talking about a Tigers organization that, you know, with Jim Leyland, really turned around the perspective of that team around baseball. And they had that run from 2011 to, I would say, roughly about 2013, where they were one of the best teams in all of baseball. Maybe even 2014, they had 90 wins that year. But, you know, when the run ran out and they weren't able to win all those games anymore, you know, Dombrowski got ran out of town. By the way, he had Nick Castellanos in Detroit as well. That's part of the reason why Castellanos is here, because he's familiar with what Castellanos is capable as a hitter. Now, of course, that was a 22-year-old Nick Castellanos, just like it was a, you know, some other younger players who were on that team. But, you know, as I said, he found ways to acquire guys. You know, he brought in Joe Nathan near the end of his career. I mentioned the whole thing with Scherzer. You know, Scherzer was in Arizona originally, and then he went out and got him and brought him to Detroit, where he won a Cy Young. Okay? You know, Scherzer became Scherzer in Detroit before he got to Washington. And that was Dave Dombrowski who brought that guy in. And you look at what he gave up in that deal. You know, he gave up a prospect who didn't turn anything into Daniel Schlereth. They had to give up Curtis Granderson to the Yankees. You know, they had to move a lot of players around to get Scherzer. But you could argue that if they don't have Scherzer, does that team have the success they have from 2011 to 2014? I argue no. Scherzer was a huge part of that, and that was Dombrowski. So, look, nobody's perfect. No one's going to get every deal, every move right, Dan and EHT. But you got to give Dombrowski's track record some credit to say that this guy has a history of having success. He has a history of building teams, getting players, getting the job done. And that's how I look at it. It doesn't mean he's going to get every move right. I'm not guaranteeing you he's going to get this trade deadline right. But what I am saying is, I think that Dave Dombrowski is a guy who has a history of finding ways to get players to help his team be successful. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City, the 3 o'clock hour, being brought to you by American Airlines and Atlantic City International Airport. ACY now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. Still to come, football at 4, Adam Caplan, NFL insider, on the first day. Eagles reporting the training camp. How about AJ? By the way, you guys see the video of AJ Brown? He goes to the team's pro shop and buys a bunch of fans his jerseys. Now, I don't know what's more of the move. Is it the fact that he bought fans jerseys, or is it the fact that he bought them only his jersey? And don't forget our poll question of the day. It's Taco Tuesday. What do you drink with your Taco Tuesday? Vote right now over at 977.3 ESPN on Twitter. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill, who's on vacation this week, right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle.
We never stop talking Eagles and NFL. It's football at 4, every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big, because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customer surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Hear ye, hear ye. Thanks for coming to the town square. First, I'd like to tell you about Steve. He's a plumber. I hear he does good work. Also, Tim. He's this new thing called a dentist. Oh, and Monica, she has a new vegan restaurant. I didn't even know that was a thing yet. Anyway, if you need those things, just wander around town and try to find them because the internet hasn't been invented yet, so I don't know.
This isn't the olden days. Now, word of mouth has gone online. At Town Square, South Jersey, we can show you how to harness the power of your existing word of mouth and amplify it online. Go to townsquarelocal.com for a free local customer analysis, where you can see how many local customers in South Jersey you could reach online. Visit townsquarelocal.com and be the Town Square today. That's townsquarelocal.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city with fast, affordable shipping. Introducing USPS Connect Local. You want speed? We deliver same or next day. You want savings? We give you supplies at a flat rate. You want less legwork? We do free pickups. Move your local business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSconnect.com/local. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day or next day delivery expected, but not guaranteed with entry close to final destination.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant or buying that new outfit from a local boutique. Those choices help to put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local businesses. Maurice Piers. For tickets and passes, visit mauricepiers.com. Filling Marble and Tile Outlet, Philadelphia Avenue and Route 30 in Egg Harbor City. Fillingmarble.com. Piccolilli Inn on Route 206 in Chemong. Home of South Jersey's best wings. Made Anew Home Remodeling. Make your dreams a reality. MadeAnewHomeRemodeling.com. Dr. Lyle M. Back for everything skincare to cosmetic surgery. Go to ILoveLyleBack.com. Perfect Basement. Schedule a free inspection at PerfectBasement.com. First Bank of Sea Isle City, Cape May County's community bank. Thank you for supporting your local businesses from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Don't forget football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. NFL insider Adam Caplan will join us coming up in about 12 minutes from now. Also, Tuesday with Thompson. Pete Thompson will join us coming up at 5 p.m. And as always, you guys can join the conversation as well. Text board is open at 609-403-0973, and you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free, thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle. Couple things I want to hit on before we do get to Adam Caplan. I mentioned before the break about what A.J. Brown did. And, I'm not saying this because, I'm trying to, embellish or go over the top or sound ridiculous. But, in a world where we constantly complain about people, everyone hates Nick Castellanos right now. People are really angry about a lot of things in the world. There's a lot of division, a lot of hate, and a lot of anger. A.J. Brown did one of the coolest things. And, he didn't do it, to some charity for some write-off. He didn't, try to, one-up somebody. All he did is he shows up at the pro shop, buys a couple fans some jerseys. And I just feel like, why don't we talk more about the cool stuff like that? Why is everything constantly negative when it comes to the world we live in? I saw one of the strangest stories I've ever seen in sports earlier today, right? Liz Cambage, she plays in WNBA. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because I keep seeing the headline, and it makes me want to just punch a wall, okay? She literally is forcing her way out of playing with the Los Angeles Sparks, a team that she agreed to a contract with just a few months ago, and now all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, what is that? Like, that's where we are in today's society. That gets all kinds of talk. That gets all kinds of unnecessary attention. All right. Yeah, it's funny that Aaron Rodgers showed up looking like Nick Cage from Con Air. Although I'm also wondering, did he look like a character from GTA, the video game? But I digress. But seriously, so much of the world we live in, it's like somebody does something cool or positive or nice or good. And it's like, we'll dismiss it. Who cares? Whatever. And I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with this idea that when people do good, cool, nice things, that we just dismiss it out of hand. Like, why Harden did that interview with hottime.com? Why he agreed to do the interview with Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports? Because he wants to promote his wine. Why he wants to promote his wine line? Because he said he wants to make a type of wine that is inexpensive and can be afforded by anybody, and is for people who maybe are not diehard, wine fans. I think that's cool. I think it's a little ambitious of him, and there's a long history of people not having success when it comes to selling things like alcohols and wines. But there's the negative nature of society coming in again. You take something that's meant for good, something that's meant to be a positive, and you spin it into this hyper negative. When these athletes go out and do the positive things that they do, they don't get a lot of attention because we have been convinced in the world we live in that the only way to do it, the only thing that we should pay attention to, is the jerks and the bad guys and all that stuff. And I just wish we would spend a little more time talking about the positive. So for me, A.J. Brown, I salute you for doing something really cool. You have a situation where Brown is new to the city. He has an opportunity to endear himself to some fans. And he goes out there and says, I'm going to buy you guys jerseys. I'm going to buy you my jersey. So on one hand, it's kind of funny, but it's still a cool move. And I can't speak for anybody else. I know that there are some people in this media space that no matter what their position is in the world, no matter who their friends are, they're going to be negative and be turds and never say anything good about anybody. But I'm not one of those people. So AJ Brown, I salute guys like you for being positive influences on the world we live in. You know, there's a lot of good people out there who are pro athletes. And if I can do my small part in highlighting them and giving them credit, I'm going to do it. And if it means that a couple extra people are going to, be less interested in, me or what I have to say, then so be it. Because there's just way too much negativity and way too much just problems in today's world for us to constantly focus on the bad guys. Deshaun Watson's gotten way too much media attention, as far as I'm concerned, for a guy who, let's be realistic, he hasn't been charged criminally with anything, but the old proverb says, good name is better than great riches. Well, Deshaun Watson, he claims to be some Christian man, but he's in complete violation of a Christian proverb. So he doesn't seem to care about his name. He seems to care about that money, the $230 million he got from the Browns. All right, more football at 4. Coming up next, Adam Caplan, NFL Insider. Inside the Birds is the podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Eagles training camp day 1 is today. We'll talk with Adam Caplan about it next.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
We all know it's fun to joke and laugh with our friends and loved ones, but did you realize a good chuckle is actually good for your heart health? An article by the Cleveland Clinic states that laughing can actually increase blood flow by up to 20% and is similar to aerobic exercise in terms of aiding heart health. Laughter also reduces stress hormones such as cortisol and epinephrine, which can cause blood vessels to constrict. This can also lead to a boost in the antibody count in our blood, improving our immune system. Now more than ever, we could all really use a good laugh. So the next time you're feeling a little stressed, check out an online comedy show, a funny movie or TV show, or something that just makes you chuckle on social media. Catch up with an old friend or family member that always makes you laugh. It just might be good for your heart. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
Wendy's knows cold and soggy fries are the worst.
So soggy.
That's why we're serving up hot and crispy fries all day, every day.
And all night until close.
With natural cut potatoes, sea salted to perfection.
Show me that potato skin.
Wendy's hot and crispy aren't like other fries. We're your dream fry. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's hot and crispy fries.
Guaranteed to be hot and crispy. If yours aren't, bring them back and we'll replace them. With GMF financing approved credit. Excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet. Because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. and we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Hey, I'm Andy, and every morning I wake up thinking about shaving. When I started Harry's almost a decade ago, the shaving industry was a mess. Flashy, overpriced razors as far as the eye could see. I just wanted a great shave at a fair price. Too much to ask? I didn't think so, and that's why I started Harry's. 10 years and 20 million Harry's customers later, we're still obsessed with giving you a quality shave experience. Sharper blades, a better lubricating strip, and making our handle grippy in all the right places. All upgrades based on your feedback. And it all comes at a great price. Seriously, as low as $2 per cartridge. These days, my mornings are a little bit different. Morning, girls. But I still wake up thinking about shaving. Our starter set has everything you need for a close, comfortable shave. 5-blade German-engineered razor, weighted handle, and shave gel. Get yours now for just $3 with free shipping, backed by our quality guarantee. Just go to harrys.com now and enter code TOWNSQUARE at checkout. That's harrys.com, code TOWNSQUARE.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Hey, remember how 20 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, now it's the future, and I used all those savings to buy this new hologram phone. Because, it's the future, and everything is holograms now.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers, and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Caplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
The day is finally here. The Eagles officially report to camp today. I know a lot of networks are calling it Training Camp Tuesday, with most of the league reporting today. So we're going to get into the key training camp storylines with the NFL insider himself, Adam Caplan, co-host of the Inside the Birds podcast. Of course, the latest pod dropped yesterday with Greg Cosell. Amazing insights from Cosell with him and Mosher and Caplan on the pod. And of course, Adam Caplan joins us here on the Sports Bash. Football at 4 on 97.3 ESPN. Adam, how you doing today?
Joshua Hennig III, good to be with you, my friend. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back with you here. I start my training camp tour tomorrow, my long tour, which is about 3 weeks. It starts with the Eagles, actually, in South Philly. As you mentioned, they all reported today. They've got their big meeting tonight at 6 o'clock, and they had their conditioning test. So we'll see what happens with those results, but we'll go to training camp tomorrow, and then they have a walkthrough on Thursday, Josh. 1 day practice, and it's going to be like the first day as always, and then they have a walkthrough on Thursday. It's funny how things have changed.
It definitely has changed a lot, and it's not just, if you will always say, Adam, oh, the world was so different 20 years ago. It's like, no, it's just like 10 years ago it was different.
Yeah, really, it would actually go back to the 2011 CBA. That's when the players got what they wanted, less practice time. They can't be asked to do anything before mid-April. Even if, if a coach sees a player in the building, you can only say hi. They can't talk football. It's kind of absurd, but that's the rules. And the NFL owners were happy with that. It had nothing to do with paying them, so they were happy with that. And away we go. The Eagles are running sort of what I call the Rams camp East, because the Rams are the ones who are the best with injury in the National Football League, and they have the shortest practices, and the Eagles are now not far behind.
Well, Adam, you just said they gave the players what they want. Let's give the people out there listening what they want, because we know that whether it's Eagle fans or whether it's people who want to know about their fantasy football team, the question every year is always the quarterback. Jalen Hurts, year 2 as the full-time starter for many people. This is the number one story for Eagles camp.
It is. There's no question about it. And you hear us, Josh. You talked about our show Inside the Birds. We did with Greg Cosell from NFL Films, and Greg did a phenomenal job of breaking down Hurts' third down tape. And to get that information, you got to listen to the show. But I would tell you, doing that show with him recently, that he certainly was a little bit more positive than I expected, because Greg's job is just to go strictly by the tape, nothing else. And he was not very complimentary of him during our pregame show last year with Jason Avant, Jeff Mosher, and I. And the fact that he was a little bit more positive was a good sign. Look, it's only coaching tape. He doesn't care what anyone else has to say. He just goes by what he sees, and he let nothing else influence. So I thought that was a good sign coming off of that. And we had reported a couple months ago that Hurts' timing was much better in OTAs, and you can't get rushed in OTAs. Now, in training camp, you absolutely can get rushed, but you cannot touch the quarterback. But still, it's a pass rush. And I'm going to be interested when I see it tomorrow. I don't know how hard they're going to practice. It's generally very late, the first practice, but I'll be back probably on Saturday and a couple more times. As the month of August progresses, once we get out of this weekend's end of July, I'm interested to see how he stacks practices and how consistent he can be, because last summer, Josh, to be quite honest, he did not have a very good training camp. And I know that was just his first full-time training camp as a starter, but he's got to be better, and the expectation is this time around he will be better.
Now, one of the big things that stands out to me, Adam, something that you and Jeff have talked about on the podcast, is year 2 for Jalen Hurts as a starter is also year 2 with the same play caller for the first time since high school, and that play caller is Shane Steichen.
Yeah, and I believe that Nick Sirianni, one of the reasons, he had his reasons for doing this, but one of the reasons why he didn't take back the play calling is to not continue to yo-yo Hurts in terms of who's going to call the plays and who's going to be that voice in his ear. Shane Steichen, he did a very good job with the Chargers. He called plays for about a year and a half for them. So he's done it before. He started around midseason. We don't know the exact game that he started taking over the play calling, but he closed the season as a play caller. He's been a play caller in the off season, and he's going to be in training camp in this season for the full time. Now, it's not like Sirianni won't have a say. He will. It's his offense. But it's great that Hurts gets to keep the continuity. That's very important. Talk to any quarterback, and they will tell you continuity is absolutely key in development at being a starting quarterback, and that's a big thing. There's no question about it. And Steichen did a good job. The question, though, going forward will be, will the offensive scheme change at all?
Now, what do you believe that Steichen brings to this offense as a play caller in year 2? Because when he was, as you mentioned, with the Chargers, that was a very different situation and a different quarterback he was dealing with.
Yeah, now, what we should mention, Josh, is that Steichen, the Chargers did not have a power running game. Austin Eckler was their main back.
Right.
He's a smaller back. He's not a guy who's going to handle more than maybe 10 to 12 carries. We're here, they're going to run the football, and Jalen Hurts was a major part of it starting week 6 last season. Now, the question would be, the scheme, they run what they run, but it's how they call it. Are they going to be a run-dominant offense? My sense is it won't be. Why do I say that? We know the ownership, Jeffrey Lurie, from what we understand, he didn't put any pressure on them. It was hands-off. He let them do what they wanted. This was not the pressure that he put on Doug Peterson to have a passing offense. But we know with the A.J. Brown trade, Josh, the Dallas Goedert extension over $14 million a year, A.J. Brown over $25 million a year, it'll never be acceptable for them to be a running offense. By money and by philosophy, this team believes heavily in analytics. They believe in throwing the football. Now, how much more will they throw it? That remains to be seen, but a lot of it has to do also if they're ahead in games.
You mentioned Austin Eckler. Well, there's a guy who, I think a lot of people out there could say there could be a similar role for him, and that is Kenny Gainwell. What do you think Gainwell can do for the Eagles in year 2?
Yeah, this is really interesting. Kenny Gainwell was the guy that he was their main goal line back early in the season. It was really odd because no one knew that was coming, and it was not Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders, as we know, incredibly did not even score a touchdown last season, which It's not good for a starting running back who was selected in the second round in 2019. But then we saw Jordan Howard get a run when they decided to take him out of mothballs. And then you saw Boston Scott when they had a bunch of injuries. He got a chance to play and did a great job. So, overall, when you look at it, Gainwell's role is going to be mainly in the passing game, and we expect that. Look, we expect that his role is going to increase. He give you a little bit out of the slot, which he did in college. He could play outside if you need him to, which he did in college. But they need more explosive plays for him, and that, to me, Josh, and I understand. Look, last season, no A.J. Brown. You had to deal with Zach Ertz until the trade deadline. That was not their plan, but they were unable to move him. That limited their explosive plays. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore. You've got A.J. Brown, who over the middle is almost impossible to cover. Devontae Smith, expect his average per catch number to go up. They will take some more shots downfield. We know Quez Watkins could flat out fly. Dallas Goedert down the seam. And then you put Kenny Gainwell in. And also, the pony formation, they could have Sanders and Gainwell. We know that they practiced this last summer, we were told. We didn't really see much of that last season, so maybe we see more of that. So I believe, Josh, this offense has a chance to be very dynamic, and they do not want the quarterback position to hold them back. Their mindset is that they're not going to let it, but if they start reining it in and becoming a running team again, that will not bode well for Jalen Hurts.
NFL insider Adam Caplan joining us today here on Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com. You mentioned his name a couple times already, and that is A.J. Brown. What do you expect his impact will be on the Eagles offense this season?
Massive, because one of the things that they struggled with, Josh, is they just did not have enough physicality at the wide receiver position last season. Devontae Smith, as well as he played as a rookie, is not physical as we know. He's not even 170 pounds. Quez Watkins is not physical. He could run. He does have some size, but he's not physical. What I find interesting is they added two very physical receivers. You mentioned A.J. Brown. He'll run those physical routes over the middle. It's called the bang eight, off play action. He as one Titan source told me, it's very hard to find on tape a route that he didn't win going over the middle. He's that physical. He gets so much leverage. And Zach Pascal, who's a physical run blocker and very good in the red zone, talking to an Eagles player recently who said that though they didn't really practice much 7-on-7, only did 2 weeks, he made an impact, particularly to that receiver room where they're very young, and that's what they needed. And Zach Pascal, he's one of these glue guys. It won't really show in the numbers because he's not going to start. He won't play a ton of snaps. But he knows this offense, and he does the dirty work. This is a very important guy to what they're going to do this season, believe it or not.
One guy I think Eagle fans, as I mentioned earlier, fantasy football players want to see have a good season is Dallas Goedert. Is this the year he breaks out now that he's no longer in Zach Ertz's shadow for a full year?
Josh, you just hit on it. That is the key. Starting the season, yes. He had the 2 monster games back-to-back last season against the Jets with Gardner Minshew and the other one with Jalen Hurts against Washington. He has to build on that. No, he doesn't have to have monster games every week, and nobody does. But there's no reason he should have fewer than 6 pass targets per game. This is a guy, if he plays 17 games, I know with his injury history, it's probably unlikely. But number one, he should have a minimum, if he plays 15 games, 60 catches. If by chance if he plays all 17 games, it would not shock me if he has over 80 receptions. He's a coverage nightmare. He's super athletic, a terrific blocker. He's a 3-down tight end. He just has never put it together, Josh, but this is his year too. Yeah, I do believe it'll be a breakout season.
You mentioned coverage. Let's flip it over to the defense for the Eagles. Are we expecting to see a scheme change for the Eagles defense this year? Did the offseason moves signal a transition for what Jonathan Gannon is going to call?
Yeah, so Josh, I know reporting, we put this out back during free agency in March. So we know they're going to run what we call a multiple defense. They really were not multiple last season, despite what we saw in training camp. They ran generally, not always, but they generally ran a 5-2 front. I'm not saying they're junking it, but that will not be their main front. You're going to see some 3-4, some 4-3. We'll see about the 5-2. I don't know yet. but they're going to be more versatile because why? They have better talent. They didn't have Brandon Graham for most of the season. They got him back. When they run a 34, it'll be a stand-up linebacker as he was for Billy Davis under Chip Kelly. By the way, Brandon Graham, saw him a couple weeks ago at a golf event. He looks great. He's ready to go. You got Josh Sweat. He's played standing up last season. He did some standing up when they ran a 34. You've got Hassan Reddick, who'll be a strong side linebacker when they run a 43 front. When they run a 34 front, it'll be a stand-up linebacker. He's going to be a pass rusher. Rarely will they ask them to cover. He's going to be great in this scheme. I really believe that. So the fronts will change, but it doesn't really matter whether they're 34, 43, or even a 5-2 because they're going to be way more multiple. Now the coverages, though, they're running a lot of what I'm told is Mike Zimmer's coverages. That's what they ran last year. They did not run anywhere close to his blitz package. It's completely different. But you're going to see a lot of – I still believe that there'll be more zone than man. But remember, Josh, they were the number one zone team for the first half of last season, 91%. Then the man coverage went way up. They'll build on that man coverage, but overall for Bradbury to be successful, they're going to have to run a decent amount of zone coverage.
Talk to me about the man who's also entering his second year, the defensive play caller, Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah, so just building on what we just talked about with Gannon, this is a big year for him. By far of all the coaches, not Sirianni, who did a very good job. Really, I don't say I was blown away by Sirianni, but I was very encouraged with. He gave up the play calling. He became more of what we call the CEO head coach. But the difference is, some CEO head coaches like Tom Coughlin were really not involved in the day-to-day play calling, where Sirianni will be heavily involved in the game planning and be in Steichen's ear about certain plays. So it's not like he won't be involved, but he's going to be an overview kind of coach. That's going to be good. And you'll see him, as I did in OTAs, go to station and getting on the players about fundamentals. That's great. That's a guy that's got his pulse of the team. But Jonathan Gannon's got to be more aggressive. I mean, it's not like I'm not talking about blitzing. I'm talking about in his coverages, disguise. The word I got is because with Steven Nelson, he was limited because he didn't run very well. He's also small. They felt a little bit limited. There's no question to me, and particularly when you play zone coverage, that's where you get your disguises. They've got to disguise more. They've got to show different looks, because the way I heard it is from other teams is they thought the Eagles defense, Josh, on tape was very predictable and easy to decipher. That cannot happen this season. It's got to change.
NFL insider Adam Caplan joining us here for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast and InsideTheBirds.com. Adam, one of the universal things I've run into, I haven't found a single Eagles fan who isn't excited about Jordan Davis, the rookie. What kind of impact can he have this year? Yeah, this is an interesting one. This is definitely a storyline, Josh, because we know that when they're in a 43 front, Cox and Hargrave are the two guys who are going to be in there. If they go to a 34 front, or they're strictly a run front, Jordan Davis has a very good chance of being in there. And look, Fletcher Cox also is not going to play the amount of snaps that he normally would have. And don't forget, Josh, they've got Milton Williams. We're told they still want to get a very good look at Marlon Tuipulotu, who barely played last season due to a severe hamstring injury, and he just was not in good enough shape during the season. He's good to go, so they're really deep at D tackle. They want to take a look at Noah Ellis. They have good depth there. So in the end, Josh, Jordan Davis will not play a ton of snaps in year one, but there's certain things situationally that he can do. Now in year two, Fletcher Cox could very well be gone. That would enable Jordan Davis to start. And don't forget, Javon Hargrave's contract is up, though we fully expect him to be back in 2023. This is the final year of his 3-year deal. The next layer of that defense behind Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave is the linebackers. They drafted Nakobe Dean. They signed White. What can we expect from the linebackers? How much better can they be this year? Major upgrade, Josh. And I was a friend of mine this season ticket. We were laughing. He goes, "Are they going to embarrass me again?" I go, "No, they're not. They're not at all. In fact, this is the best group they've had since 2018. In fact, maybe since 2017 in terms of youth, athleticism, and talent. Kaiser White, who started a bunch of games for the Chargers. I know he's smaller. You've got Reddick now. Again, he's just going to be a pass rusher. Technically, he'll be a linebacker, but he'll be a stand-up pass rusher. Nakobe Dean. So
here's the thing. Kyron Johnson will most likely be a special teams player, though he's very fast. Here's the thing we all have to understand, Josh. The Eagles have tremendous depth at linebacker for the first time in 4 years. Between T.J. Edwards, who I didn't even mention, who's really just a base down player. Who when they're going against like the Titans, you'll see him play more. When they're not, against teams that are pass, he'll barely play. The nickel linebackers, which will play mostly, are when it either week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever it's going to be. Nakobe Dean and Kaiser White will wind up being their 2 nickel linebackers in terms of coverage, and Reddick will be Reddick, one way or the other, will be an edge rusher, however they want to deploy him. But that's it. And Davion Taylor, unfortunately, he's been hurt a lot. What we're told is to kind of get the soft tissue injuries out of his system, he took up yoga. He's trying different approaches to getting himself healthy. But the bottom line is Davion Taylor's on the outside looking in the rotation. He's got to earn a spot in the rotation here. They actually have depth for the first time in I don't know how long.
You mentioned Hassan Reddick. Eagles bring him in. This is a guy, he's got 34 quarterback hits and 23 and a half sacks over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, and this is another one where the defensive coordinator must account for this player. This guy, it's his job to free him up to rush the passer. You don't want to remember when Sean McDermott, who's turned out to be a great head coach, by the way, but remember when Sean McDermott was the Eagles D coordinator, he tried to do too much, and he's dropping ends into coverage too much, and there was too much going on. Don't junk it up. Let guys who are specialists like Reddick. The Panthers talking to them, they rarely asked him to handle coverage. He's just not comfortable with it. He was able to rush the passer, and he's terrific at it. As long as Gannon uses him as mainly a pass rusher, this will turn out to be a very good signing.
Let's hit up the secondary here, Adam. A couple more before we let you go. Yep. We know that James Bradbury is an upgrade over Steven Nelson on paper, but how is he an upgrade on the field?
Well, here's the thing. Josh, first of all, he's bigger physically. He's 2 to 3 inches taller. He's longer. He runs better. I understand that he's a little bit older. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that much older. In fact, if you look at Bradbury's age, I think he's 28. He's actually younger than Steve. I think they're around the same age, within a year of each other. Now, Bradbury does turn 29. That's not old. He has 2 or 3 years left in him, and he's on a 1-year deal with upside to $10 million. He's going to make just over $7 million. He's got everything you want in talent. He didn't fit in their scheme last year. Yes, it was a down year for him. He'll fit in well here. They know how they want to use him. He's a major upgrade. He's way more talented than Steven Nelson. Steven Nelson has got by smarts and toughness and physicality, but you're not going to be limited by James Bradbury. In fact, when they go to man, I know he's not as comfortable. He's better playing off the ball. You can play mirror match coverage. There's certain things you can do with him. That they wanted to play more mirror match last year, but they didn't because they didn't have depth. But I'm telling you, Bradbury is going to be a big upgrade. He's going to help them. There's no question about it. You just got to make sure that he's comfortable opposite Darius Slay.
When I saw that the Eagles signed Jaquiski Tartt this offseason, Adam, all I could think of was there's another Howie Roseman bargain basement deal guy who can impact this team. Yeah,
when we reported the numbers, I mean it's very close to Anthony Harris's deal. Harris has a little bit more upside. They're both they can make up to $2.5 million. And in fact, ironically, I don't know if the Eagles are calling it, but I'm going to call it. It's a competition in training camp. I know Greg Cosell told us he thinks Tartt will beat him out in training camp, which is a little bit surprising. Actually, you know what? I don't know if he'll be able to get it done that quickly because remember, Harris is here because of Gannon. But they absolutely have to get someone to push Harris. He did not play particularly well last season, very average. Tartt's a better football player. He's just had a ton of injuries in his career. And that is why at 30 years old, the Niners did not want him back.
Competition is always a good thing in training camp. And Adam Caplan, NFL Insider, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Caplan NFL. He will be at Eagles training camp tomorrow to start his training camp tour, and we will check in with him again tomorrow for football at 4 here on 97.3 ESPN. Adam, great stuff today. Talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. This hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by the Garden State Beer Company. At Garden State Beer Company in Galloway, their motto is a beer for everyone. Contact them today at 609-232-BEER for the Garden State Beer Company in Galloway. Coming up on the other side, headlines. Couple of interesting NFL news stories coming down as players reporting the training camps all around the league, and that and more coming up next. Don't forget, Tuesday with Thompson. Pete Thompson will join us coming up at 5 o'clock. And of course, we will check in with your guys' thoughts and comments. Are you excited about Eagles training camp? What excites you about training camp? What are your questions about Eagles training camp? The players reported today. The text board is open. 609-403-0973 is the text board. And you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle.
There's only one place for live sports and sports talk in South Jersey. Oh, yeah! Your sports station is 97.3 ESPN.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
You've got bugs. What's your move? A rattly can? Or a simple spritz? Bugs near your kids and pet? Will it be ingredients you can't pronounce? Ew. Or essential oils? Bother the bugs, not your family. Zevo uses essential oils, which attack bugs' biological systems, so Zevo kills bugs, plus is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo. People-friendly. Bug-deadly. Now at a store near you.
Looking for ways to shine bright this summer? With Summer of Dash Pass by DoorDash. Get more member-only perks and discounts than ever before. The more you shop, the more you save. With $0 delivery fees and access to exclusive items that make your summer feel easy and breezy. Sign up now with promo code ORDER50 for 50% off your first order, up to $15 value. Dash Pass benefits apply only to eligible orders that meet the minimum order amount. Other fees, taxes, and gratuity may apply. Terms apply.
Did you book the Townsend's 10th anniversary tickets?
Alona's travel agency is overbooked and experiencing delays. She needs to land a new project manager to clear her business's runways.
Yes, Mrs. O'Hara, we checked. Pygmy goats do not count as emotional support animals.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by interviewing on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Did you take those big down payments?
You're darn right I did.
Your Honor, he is breaking the laws of Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. They made it clear. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. Every new Mitsubishi, one dime down.
Take them away. And at Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City, ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. So, what's the beat on inventory?
Other dealers are struggling, but not Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. 40 new Outlanders in stock now. An entire fleet of new and pre-owned. New Mitsubishis from just $17,000.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville, they service all makes and models.
Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
New 22 Mirage, 16 Ford, 9 down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
O'Reilly.
This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly. Parts.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know, I'm Vin Avenue. Egg Harbor police arrest a Philadelphia man for luring as he tried to arrange a sexual encounter with a 15-year-old girl who turns out doesn't exist. A new state office is being set up specifically to sue gun manufacturers and sellers. And a New Jersey state lawmaker wants to offer child psychiatrists student loan relief and tax credits if they stay and practice in the Garden State. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Your forecast is next.
You finally got that new car, so you called your insurance company.
Your call is important to us. Please hold.
We are the tippy top workshop insurance.
You ended that call with their jingle stuck in your head. Then you called NJM.
Thanks for calling NJM Insurance. This is Claudia. Let's see if we can save you up to 25% on your auto insurance.
No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. Visit njm.com for a quote.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. There are two opportunities for a good soaking coming up tomorrow, early and late. Otherwise, we'll enjoy another day of seasonable warmth and occasional peaks of sun. Fairly comfortable tonight, low of 68, mostly cloudy tomorrow, high of 86, with an isolated shower or thunderstorm possible early and late. Thursday, hot and humid, partly sunny with a chance of a pop-up thunderstorm, high of 91. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
This summer, it's playtime in Atlantic City. Play all day, play all night, and always play to win. Visit AtlanticCityNJ.com to press play and win big.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
Headlines time here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM. A little breaking news popping off just during the break here. Well, we always say the rich get richer a lot of times in sports, right? Well, Julio Jones is signing a one-year deal to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because where else would he go? Now, according to Adam Schefter, Jones did have interest from the Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Tampa was apparently more aggressive in getting Julio Jones, and that's why he's landing there. So that's an interesting thing to keep in mind when it comes to this upcoming season. You know, Julio Jones did not have a good year last year in Tennessee. He looked pretty pedestrian at times. He just wasn't the same explosion, the same kind of athlete that he's been in his career. So you have to wonder, does going to a situation like Tampa where he won't be the one, he won't be the two, in many cases he'll be the third or fourth option on the field, does that allow him a little bit more freedom to kind of regain back that form that made him one of the best receivers in the NFL? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I know I am certainly intrigued by this. I am certainly intrigued by the idea of Julio Jones because I don't know what he has left per se in the tank. I'm not going to sit here and act like he's got it all figured out, but I just have to believe that on some level, when you look at a guy like Julio Jones, guys like that just don't forget how to play football. You know what I mean? It's not like that guy just one day woke up and was like, can't play football anymore. So I'm curious to find out what Julio Jones can do. Okay. And I don't know though that means, how productive he's going to be, but I just have to think that a guy with that type of physical ability and that type of resume is going to have an impact. And then maybe that is the guy who makes the loss of Gronk a little bit less intense for Tampa Bay. One of the more interesting stories from the NFL today came a little bit early this afternoon. So Chris Carson is retiring from the NFL. Now, he's not making an official retirement statement, but the Seahawks are officially releasing him with a failed physical designation. Now, under the CBA, this allows Carson to receive a basically what is a financial settlement that allows him to receive injury protections under the NFL CBA rules. So he'll have several $1 million, almost like an insurance policy. It's almost like if someone gets injured and insurance kicks in. Well, this designation allows him to be protected and still make money, so he doesn't just walk away with empty-handed. Seahawks have done this in the past. They did it with Cliff Averill. They did it with Cam Chancellor and others to make sure these guys get the money that they were promised without having to lose it just because of an injury that's ending their career. Apparently, Chris Carson's neck injury he sustained last year is more serious than people thought. But it looks like that the Seahawks didn't just draft Kenneth Walker for no good reason. You know, the Michigan State running back, the power bruising back. It looks like Walker's going to walk into camp with a chance to get some serious playing time, with Carson, for all intents and purposes, retiring at this point. You know, Carson, according to reports, had been training this offseason just in case, but the neck just hasn't been able to get better, and the situation has just become untenable, according to reports. So Chris Carson, not just retiring, but the Seahawks are working the system to make sure that he gets basically what is the equivalent of financial insurance coverage for his injury designation. So nice job by the Seahawks. By the way, little news out of the 49ers. So the 49ers said that basically they're moved on to Trey Lance being their starting quarterback. They officially said it today to Kyle Shanahan. They also said that Deebo Samuel is reporting to camp. So they're not just going to be having a new quarterback, but Deebo Samuel will be there at camp. So two very interesting stories to keep track with the 49ers here. Deebo Samuel had threatened to hold out without a new contract extension, but it seems like that he is giving at least a good faith move and showing up to camp, according to John Lynch of the 49ers. And then when it comes to Trey Lance, people have been wondering if and when the 49ers were going to announce officially that he was going to be on this team. Well, it looks like we can make that news officially official now, because they basically said that Trey Lance is going to be the guy moving forward. So some interesting news coming out west, shall we call it, when it comes to the NFL. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. A little headline segment here on Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Of course, headlines being brought to you by American Airlines and Atlantic City International Airport. ACY now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. A couple other things I want to hit on here in the headlines, maybe some things that we just haven't gotten around to yet. So I found it interesting, something that was tweeted by John Heyman today. And I'm not going to act like I expected this tweet to come from John Heyman. Okay, now, for those who don't know, John Heyman has been covering Major League Baseball for a long time. He's currently, with the New York Post, but he's been an insider for MLB Network and others for a very long time. And he kind of just dropped this tweet out of nowhere today. John Heyman is reporting that the Marlins are listening on trade requests for everyone not named Sandy Alcantara. That's a huge piece of news, because there's a lot of guys in the Marlins that probably would be inexpensive versions of other players who are going to be available in free agency. And if the Marlins are basically listening for any calls to anyone aside from Alcantara, that changes the market. And here's why. There's a couple guys that are on the Marlins that I think a lot of teams will be interested in, okay? Let's start with the pitching, for example. Pablo Lopez is arguably their second best pitcher. He has a just over 3 ERA this year, and he's a guy who has shown to be a very good pitcher over the last couple of years. He's only 26 years old. Frankie Montas is going to demand a crazy return on a trade from the A's. Pablo Lopez could be like the inexpensive option for some teams out there if they're looking to acquire a guy who is not going to cost them the type of return of prospects that Montas is going to demand. You know, part of the reason why Frankie Montas is still an A is because the Twins tried to acquire him this offseason, according to reports. I saw this on MLB.com, and they were saying that what the A's were asking for, the Twins were uncomfortable giving up because it was too much, they believed. Another pitcher who could be on the move from the Marlins is 34-year-old pitcher Anthony Bass. This is a guy who has 43 strikeouts in 42 appearances and a 1.51 ERA. You don't think someone's going to want that guy coming out of their bullpen instead of whoever they have? Also with the Marlins, Jesus Aguilar. He's been a big-time slugger for them over the year. Not a great year this year, but 32 years old. I think he still has something to offer. You also got to consider, Garrett Cooper. He's their main DH guy this year. Not a big power hitter, but he's got a nice average. So a couple things to look out for. Of course, you got Joey Wendell down there. He's a nice utility player. I'm sure that, Whit Merrifield is probably going to demand a stupid return for his trade value. Maybe Joey Wendell is the inexpensive Whit Merrifield when it comes to the trade market, teams that are looking for those type of players. And the final reason this is important, the Miami Marlins still have games down the road against the Phillies. 3-game set coming up in Philadelphia at the beginning of September, and another 3-game set down in Miami in September as well. So if the Marlins are depleted and they're going to be willing to trade anybody on the roster, you know what that means for the Phillies? Potentially some easier wins when September rolls around for them. A little bit less talent in Miami could be a good thing. Well, at least in theory for the Phillies. The Phillies couldn't beat the stinking Cubs this weekend, and the Cubs are 20 games under 500. So maybe the Marlins not being so good is a problem, but at least in theory on paper, this John Heyman report is pretty wild, to say the least. All right, there are some headlines for you here on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. We'll get to some of your comments on the other side. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. Also, you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Don't forget, Tuesday with Thompson still to come. The PT, Pete Thompson, joins us coming up at 5 o'clock.
Our love for sports is what makes us different from any other station in South Jersey.
Oh, yeah!
Number one for live sports and sports talk. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. and we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Grilling never smelled so good. Introducing new Kingsford Signature Flavors. Made with 100% real spices, Kingsford Signature Flavors flavor boosters can be added to any pre-lit charcoal or bought pre-mixed with Kingsford charcoal briquettes to add a whole new rich, full-bodied flavor and aroma to your cookout. For flavor you can see, smell, and taste. New Kingsford Signature Flavors. Kingsford.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's Thrift Store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
You've got bugs. What's your move? A rattly can? Or a simple spritz? Bugs near your kids and pet? Will it be ingredients you can't pronounce? Ew. Or essential oils? Bother the bugs, not your family. Zevo uses essential oils, which attack bugs' biological systems, so Zevo kills bugs, plus is safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo. People friendly. Bug deadly. Now at a store near you.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Geico presents Daily Affirmations. Repeat after me. Our thoughts are like the ocean. Our thoughts are like the ocean. Our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts create our reality. We're thinking Geico offers claim service 24/7 with personalized attention from an assigned team.
Geico offers claim service? I wasn't thinking that.
We think it and it becomes our reality.
So, what about washboard abs?
Just give it a go. Think really hard.
Okay, abs.
Yeah, keep thinking.
To manifest more Geico in your life, go to geico.com.
Mom, Dad, I humbly suggest you save some money and shop Amazon for back to school. It's for my growth, meaning my body's growing at an alarming rate. And clothes you buy me this year will be very small very soon. Plus, the clothes I love today will be out of style tomorrow. But at least your wallet doesn't have to be my fashion victim if you shop low prices for school at Amazon. Hopefully this is helpful. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Josh Hennig back here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill, who's on vacation. 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank and CIL. You missed our conversation a little bit earlier today about the Phillies. Here is your lineup for tonight. Some more changes to the Phillies lineup. Kyle Schwarber is back in the leadoff hole. Hoskins is back batting 2. Real Muto at 3. Derek Hall, the DH at 4. Nick Castellanos stays in the 5 hole. Bryson Stott moves back over to second, hitting 6. Alec Bohm back at third base, hitting 7th. D. Gregorius at short. He is 8th, and Matt Vierling stays at the field, hitting 9th, all behind Aaron Nola tonight versus the Braves. You know, I mentioned this earlier. The whole point of putting Bohm in the DH hole last night was to remove the liability on defense. And then the guy you put him in playing defense gets tagged with an error last night. Now, I understand what Frank Klose said earlier in the show, that error should have been put on actually Reese Hoskins, not Camargo. But it was like this team literally went out there and said, we're going to put out a better defense on the field and have Camargo and Stott and Munoz. And the next day, they're like, you know what? Defense doesn't matter. We'll just go back to the hitters. It's just such a strange decision by the Phillies. Look, I think, as I said earlier, that the man who deserves a lot of credit right now is Alec Bohm. He's hitting .533, and without him continuing to hit, I don't know if Bryson Stott is in a position to have the, big night that he had with the home run and the 5 RBI last night. He was a huge, huge part of their success last night. So, look, I need Schwarber to wake up. I need Castellanos to get more consistent. But at the end of the day, I think the guy who deserves a lot of credit right now for how he's been playing, I mean, he's batting .533 since the All-Star break when they came back. And that man, the one and only, Alec Bohm. A couple other things to get to before we wrap up the hour. One of the things that Adam Caplan said earlier on Football at 4, he highlighted the fact of Shane Steichen in year 2 as the offensive play caller. And the reason why I wanted to get back to that is because, when I had said previously that my biggest focus is on Nick Sirianni, I meant that as the head coach. But we got to highlight something else I've also said in the past. Now, I'm the person who has said, and I'm not one of these people who conveniently forgets everything I say from time to time. All right? But I have said multiple times that I think it's a big deal that for the first time since high school, Jalen Hurts will have the same offensive play caller and the same offensive terminology from one year to the next. Well, a big part of that is Shane Steichen. So if I'm going to sit here and highlight what Jalen Hurts can do in the same offense from year 1 to year 2, then I have to also give credit when and if he does well in that offense to the man calling the plays in his ear, and that being Shane Steichen. Now, as Adam Caplan said earlier, this is not saying that Nick Sirianni doesn't have any involvement in the offense. That's not what we're saying at all. But what we are saying is Shane Steichen is a guy who they handed play calling duties over to last year. He was the man in Jalen Hurts' ear. This is the same guy who was in Justin Herbert's ear his rookie year. This is the same guy who has seen different quarterbacks in his time in the NFL. He has coached with Phillip Rivers, Tyrod Taylor, Justin Herbert, and now Jalen Hurts, and then also Gardner Minshew. Maybe the key to all of this has less to do with Jalen Hurts. Maybe there's something to do with, I don't know, the guy in his ear calling the plays. Like I said, I'm the person who has come out and said multiple times, I think Jalen Hurts, part of the reason why he will be better this year is because he's in the same offense with stability, with consistency for one year or the next. Well, the key to that is Shane Steichen in his ear. And if Steichen can continue to be the good play caller and the consistent play caller that he has been over the years from the Chargers to now the Eagles, that might be one of the keys to the Eagles' success this year. Because you know what's going to happen. If Steichen's not good, you know what's going to happen. Nick Sirianni is going to take back that play calling, and then who knows what happens. because Sirianni doesn't have the extensive experience as a play caller that Steichen does. Yeah, Shane Steichen has more play calling experience than Nick Sirianni does in the NFL. Now, Sirianni has more coaching experience than Steichen, but he doesn't have as much play calling experience. They're not one and the same. So if Jalen Hurts goes out there and has a very good year this year, a better year than last year, let's say that Hurts goes out there and has 24 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and almost 4,000 passing yards, and the Eagles go 10-7, 11-6, whatever it is, then Shane Steichen's got to be a huge part of that success. I thought that was a great point that Adam Caplan brought up earlier today on Football on 4. Another thing he brought up is, I mentioned it to him and he kind of amplified the point. I know how much people like Billy Schwein in the locker room disliked the Eagles linebackers last year, and how many people were not happy with Jonathan Gannon's style of defensive play calling, his lack of aggressiveness last year. There's a lot of pressure on Jonathan Gannon to come out and show that the Eagles' confidence in him is worthwhile. This is a guy who has had multiple teams interview him for head coaching jobs. This is a guy who the Eagles brought in to be defensive coordinator because of his reputation. Howie Roseman went out there in free agency and added linebackers, added pass rushers, added D linemen, added another corner, did everything possible to hand Jonathan Gannon the best roster possible on defense. Now it's on Gannon to actually do something with that talent. Because how many times did we talk about last year and then the offseason? Well, look who the Eagles played down the stretch. They played Garrett Gilbert, and they played Mike Glennon, and they played all these mediocre and poor quarterbacks down the stretch, and that's why the defense played well. Well, now you improved that corner. You vastly improved that linebacker. You beefed up on the D-line. You improved the pass rush. Brandon Graham's coming back from an injury. You're giving Gannon zero excuses now. He has no excuses to go out there and make sure this defense is the top 10 D for the 2022 season. Coming up next, Tuesday with Thompson, the PT next.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
This is either the Eagles or the Cowboys division. That's how I look at it. I mean, the Eagles are a very talented team. We talked about, obviously, getting A.J. Brown. Like, they have all the pieces right there. Their defense is solid. But when it's all said and done, to me, it's between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Did you take those big down payments?
You're darn right I did.
Your Honor, he is breaking the laws of Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. They made it clear. It's a crime to pay more than a dime. Every new Mitsubishi, one dime down.
Take them away. And at Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City, ask for credit amnesty.
If you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. So, what's the beat on inventory?
Other dealers are struggling, but not Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. 40 new Outlanders in stock now. An entire fleet of new and pre-owned. New Mitsubishis from just $17,000.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville, they service all makes and models.
Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
New 22 Mirage, 16 Ford, 9 down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR, plus tax tag title to qualified buyers.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit-on-the-go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Call Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out their best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Wendy's knows cold and soggy fries are the worst. So soggy. That's why we're serving up hot and crispy fries all day, every day. And all night until close. With natural cut potatoes, sea salt to perfection. Show me that potato skin. Wendy's hot and crispy aren't like other fries. We're your dream fry. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's hot and crispy fries.
Guaranteed to be hot and crispy. If yours aren't, bring them back and we'll replace them.
I'll ring you up in a second. Kim, can you see if we have more acid wash?
Desmona's thrift store is the spot for killer vintage finds.
Oh, that looks fabulous on you. Hey, can you do the register?
But her sales clerk situation feels pretty threadbare.
Oh, yeah, let me clear out that fitting room.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Pete, how's business? It's great. Foot traffic's still way down, but more people are finding me online. Nice. How'd you pull that off? Well, the first thing I did was go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there were for businesses like mine. So I guess there were a lot? Yeah, there were hundreds of local searches every month. So after I saw that, they helped me position my business online to get in front of those customers. That's awesome. I wonder how many people are searching for my services around here. Well, it's quick and easy to get the answer. Plus, it's free. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com to find out. If there are a lot of searches, you should definitely get in front of them. If there aren't, no harm, no foul.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
With all the sports we have, every time of the year is the best time of the year.
And the crowd just buzzing with excitement.
On 97.3 ESPN, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
I am not Mike Gill. I am Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill. He's on vacation this week. This is 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. Well, it's a Tuesday, and you know what that means? It's time for Tuesday with Thompson. Pete Thompson joins us. We'll talk some Eagles. We'll talk some Phillies. And, of course, Pete Thompson is the writer of a bunch of different things. That's entertainment. He's got his sports column. He co-hosts with Billy Schwein in the locker room on the weekends. And he joins us right now here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Pete, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. I, actually did spend a portion of my day today writing those columns. So That's Entertainment and the Extra Points. I actually wrote the entertainment last night and wrote the extra points this morning. And then, I kind of had the NFL Network on to just see all this NFL camp news going around that, it was actually pretty fun to see him sort of drop in these different places and what the top story was. They're barely settled into the table, and Jerry Jones is defending Mike McCarthy. That cracked me up a little bit. It's nice for once to have the Eagles starting camp without chaos and questions. Sure, there's questions, but it just doesn't feel, they feel pretty prepared, don't you think?
Well, I said it earlier, Pete. My thing is that I think Howie Roseman did everything he could have this offseason. He addressed every single need this team really had. He got him another corner. He got more competition at safety. He upgraded the linebackers. He drafted not one but two guys from the national championship team. And how Eagle fans love that kind of stuff. They traded for A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's out buying people jerseys at the pro shop.
Yeah,
like Howie did everything he could. He handed this coaching staff everything they could need. So as far as I'm concerned, Pete, Howie Roseman can just wash his hands and be like, not my problem. It's on you guys.
Right. And I mean, he put the pieces back together after the Carson Wentz debacle, right? He basically has done his stuff to give, the coaches always talk about the ingredients, like you want to have the right ingredients and the right makeup of your team. And he's put that together. The only question mark is Hurts, really. Is Jalen Hurts ready to take that step forward? And I heard you talking about the fact that Hurts is going to have that continuity and that consistency in both what the expectations are for him, his comfort level with Nick Sirianni, his comfort level with Shane Steichen, all those things moving forward. And seems like the sky's the limit, but that's why the optimism is always on day one. There hasn't been a single whistle blown yet.
No, there hasn't. But I think that, as I said earlier, Pete, in a world full of negativity, we should have a little positivity and highlight it, because at the end of the day, what's the point of enjoying sports if it's all no good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and it is, the nickname is Negadelphia, right? But that's, I think, the difference is there's a lot of times, look, like if you just want to compare and contrast my feelings toward what the Flyers have done in their offseason moves and where they sit right now and what the Eagles have done. It's not even in the same ballpark. One team looks like it's skidding off the rails and is dysfunctional as always and, way behind the times. And the other one seems to have made all the right moves and done all the right things. And now they just have to go out and do it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because yesterday's poll question at 973 ESPN, you mentioned the Flyers and their gaffe. That was one of the four options. I wanted to know what was the worst Philly free agent failure the last 22 years. Well, Johnny Gaudreau, I labeled it Flyers ignoring Gaudreau wanting to come home.
All right, that was one, right?
That was one. That was third place, actually, is where it finished.
Okay.
Eagles letting Dawkins walk in free agency. That finished number two in the voting.
That didn't. What was number one?
Number one was the Sixers not keeping Butler.
Oh, that's actually a really good one, because all Jimmy Butler did was go win somewhere else and rub it in their face and get Joel Embiid looking across the court, looking forlorn, like, my guy, I miss you so much. I do have an umbrage or issue with your Philly move, but you're just not old enough. You should have remembered when the Phillies signed Lance Parrish. That was an epically wrong signing way back in the day. The Lance Parrish move was one of those.
Well, Pete, the question is...
it's who they let walk, right?
No,
okay.
Worst Philly free agent failure of the last 22 years.
Oh, well, Lance is farther back. Well, that just means I'm old.
I wanted to keep it in the 21st century, because once you get to the 90s, then it turns into Danny Tartable with the Phillies.
Oh my gosh.
It turns to Reggie White with the Eagles.
Jeremy Giambi, right?
Right. Now you start including a whole nother tier of Philadelphia failures. So I was trying to keep it recent for, some of the young folk who are younger than you and I, who can't remember anything before the 21st century.
That's true. I wasn't thinking of the parameter of the question when the name Lance Parrish jumped in my head. And
yeah, my Phillies one
wasn't wrong. Adam Eaton, right?
Yeah. Well, Adam Eaton was that was only 7% of the vote is what that walked away with. But I had to pick a Phillies one. And to me, the Eaton one was so bad. I mean, they paid him $15 million for a 6.10 ERA and 20 starts.
You could argue that the David Robertson one. Now that Robertson got injured, but he just closed out the game the other day for the Cubs. He couldn't stay. Yeah, didn't they work it out to? It was something like, $6 million a pitch or something like that. He pitched so short and was so injured so quickly that's a colossal failure. But how do you plan for a guy to break down?
Right. That's why I tried to that's why none of my choices were injury related.
Yeah.
People were saying, why didn't you put Nnamdi Asomugha? I was like, you forget that Dawkins' first year when he left the Eagles, he was a second team All-Pro.
Oh,
not Pro Bowler, a second team All-Pro. He literally went to Denver and gave the Eagles organization the middle finger, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. And he was an impactful player in Denver, like right away. It broke my heart to see him go. But it was Joe Banner was still in charge of the books at that point too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
So, and Joe has been accused on many occasions of not having a pulse. Joe has been accused on many occasions of worrying about the cap numbers and not having a heart, And actually, it's funny, like post his football career, I see Joe Banner get more fired up on Twitter than I've ever seen him come back at people, whether it be political or football knowledge. I'm always like, man, where was that guy when he was?
Where was that
office?
passion?
Yeah, jeez.
Well, the final poll results from yesterday's poll, Pete, was 41% said the worst was Jimmy Butler leaving Philadelphia. Second was 29% for Dawkins walking. 22% went Flyers, though, Pete. And only 7% went the Phillies. So Flyers ignoring Goudreau got at least some traction.
As it should. I mean, it baffles me. I mean, I don't want to, beat this into the ground, but it baffles me how somebody could, with like no reservation, express basically as much as he could that he wanted to come back here through his agent. It was an open secret throughout the league that, he wanted to come back to the South Jersey area and come back and be close to his family. And for Chuck Fletcher to say, we couldn't make it happen. I saw the parallel. Somebody had talked about the fact that, if it was the NBA, you start planning like a year ahead of time. Like,
correct.
How did the Flyers knew a year ago, like even before he went on to a 115-point tear, they knew, it's been a couple seasons here that the whispers have been that Goudreau wants to come home. When his contract's up, he wants to come home. I even read, they do those things in the Players Tribune. And I read what he wrote in the Players Tribune about, his open letter to the Calgary fans. I don't know if they'll hang him in effigy or what when he goes back there, but he basically, I thought, made accurate points, which is, thank you for taking a chance for me. Thank you for, letting me play hockey. I enjoyed my time up there, but, my life has changed. I'm married. I have a kid on the way, and it's not so easy. People think that athletes make millions of dollars, and they do. But $9 million isn't like what was Harden going to get if he didn't turn down the deal, like 47?
47.5 million.
Yeah,
Instead, he signed for about 32.
You got Johnny Gaudreau, who's essentially a James Harden of hockey, right? And he's getting $9 million, and James Harden gets 47. So it's not like you could just hop on your, Wheels Up or NetJets and just go back and forth from Western Canada all the time and easy peasy lemon squeezy. I get why you wanted to come out here.
And by the way, Pete, the other thing that was ugly is that Columbus had to make 2 trades to make the salary cap space work for signing Goudreau.
Columbus they never thought that they were going to get him. Columbus never thought they were going to get him, and then right as they got late in the ball game, Goudreau realized that
tried, Pete.
That's the point.
That's what ticks everybody off.
Yeah.
The reports was that you could have traded JVR, but you wouldn't give up a first-round pick. And then Goudreau apparently is just sitting around all day waiting for Chuck to call. And then Chuck comes out and waves the white flag at 5 o'clock.
We're done.
Like a soft wimp. Just like, oh, we can't make it work. Like, it was just such it was just like getting punched in like the groin time after time.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't want to make me sign up for season tickets or the increase in pricing or the new club level or whatever else changes they think. Or, I mean, what'll be really curious, Josh? What kind of BS slogan are they going to come up with this year? Back to broad or bringing it together or we are one or, what kind of phrase? That's a real challenge for their marketing department. They ought to go with Triumph the Insult Dogs phrase. It's poop again. For me to poop on.
Now, Pete.
I got one more hockey thing before you move on, by the way. Did you see who the new coach is in San Jose?
Your buddy Quinn.
That's right, man. David Quinn.
Now, does that mean you're going to go to a Sharks game this year, Pete?
I might go to both. I might try to go do that West Coast trip again that Michael and I did a couple of years ago. I think, let's see, how did we do it that time? We went San Jose to Anaheim to LA to Vegas was that trip. I think the games are flip-flop this year. I think it's San Jose, LA, Anaheim. Maybe it's Phoenix. It might not be Vegas this time. But, yeah, I might try to see him in San Jose at the SAP Center and then come back and see him at the Wells Fargo Center.
There you go. By the way, today's poll question of the day. So, today is Taco Tuesday.
That's right.
Every establishment on earth likes to let you know it's Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, but only one owns the patent to it.
That is true.
Okay.
But the question is, when people have their tacos on Tuesday, what are they drinking?
Right.
With the tacos at 973 ESPN, tequila or cerveza?
Okay.
Right now, it's tied 50-50.
I'll vote. I'll say tequila because I can't have carbonated stuff anymore. So it used to be cervezas and a whole bucket of them and keep them coming. But now I've changed my tastes. My palate has changed. And preferably the higher quality stuff. I'm talking like Don Julio, baby.
Well, Monday Marcus chimed in earlier. I got to find it because he dropped the tequilas he would want to drink for Taco Tuesday. And he put it on the text board. Here it is. He said 1800 or Patron.
Ooh, Patron. Yeah, Patron is not bad. Well, Don Julio, Patron, 220, 221. We're in the same high-end top shelf stuff.
Hornitos, throw that into the conversation.
We're not you remember top shelf, bottom shelf, right?
Yes,
they used to call that well drinks, What is that vodka? What the hell is pop off?
Right.
It's like paint thinner.
What is this stuff that tastes like alcoholic
gasoline.
Water?
Right, gasoline. It'll take the paint off your walls and it'll clean out your liver.
Oh, it'll do something, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh.
Let's get to the Phillies, Pete. You're wearing the Phillies outfit. You're fully decked out. I'm actually wearing the Eagles. I got to do it the right angle here. So
nice. I see it. Yeah. First day of training camp. That's good. Good job by you.
Yeah.
I wore the Phillies because they won. I wore the Phillies because I do like to color coordinate the hat with whatever the shirt is.
Yes, you did.
And I wore them because, I was pissed after the weekend, and why wouldn't I be? When Gil's here, he always likes my friend Dean Wysocki, who's the lifelong Cubs fan. Right. And as the weekend went on, Dean continued to text me and pile on more and more like, you're not going to get swept by us, are you? That's the first sweep by the Cubs this year, first series sweep. And it's the first time the Phillies have been swept by the Cubs in Philadelphia in 22 years, I think. Like, come on. Like, how do you not win a ball game? And they could
have won two of them. They should have won Saturday night, but the game went to extra innings and Alvarado imploded.
Yeah, that's rare, but yeah.
And then Sunday, if it kept feeling like they were going to get back into the game, and as you mentioned, Dave Roberts closed the door in their face. They got outscored 25-7 versus the Cubs, and that's why my concern yesterday and today, even though they won last night, we got to give them credit. But Pete, Schwarber, he hasn't done a lot since the All-Star break. Real Muto, he hasn't done much. Hoskins, he's done more bad in the field than good at the plate. So, meanwhile, it's Alec Boehm who's batting .533 since they came back from the All-Star break, while Stott had 5 RBI last night. So finally the young guys are stepping up because the veterans aren't doing their job, Pete.
Yeah, maybe tonight. Boehm 3 for 4 with a double and 2 runs scored last night. But you mentioned Real Muto. It was telling, and I forget which game it was over the weekend. It might have been the Sunday game, that they left Garrett Stubbs in to hit instead of putting Real Muto in. And that was very telling to me that, they gave Garrett Stubbs a chance instead of Real Muto. That shows you how much Real Muto is struggling. I mean, look, we're less than a week away, or we're just about 7 days away from the trade deadline, August 2nd, however many days that is. And Dombrowski's basically come out with a wink and a nudge and said, like, if you think we're going after Soto, you're, past whatever you're hitting, right? We're not doing that. But I heard your speech earlier about players that they could get that are sort of like the B option to the marquee thing. And I thought that was very good, Josh, what you did. I mean, like, they're not going to give up Painter. They don't want to give up Abel. He flat out straight up said, I have no problem if a guy's ready to come up, I have no problem pitching guys who are 20 years old and putting them in the big leagues. And that's exciting because think about how long we've watched the Phillies and they've just always kept their prospects buried in AA or AAA, just grinding away and suffering and never called them up. Now, maybe they weren't good enough. Maybe they were, but they never even gave him a chance. So this is exciting to me that he's saying, like, I'm not going to trade away these pieces just for something that's, a pie in the sky kind of situation.
Yeah, my question I'm starting to think now, Pete, and I asked this question previously, and, Frank Klose was very specific on this. The Phillies have a lot of catching prospects. They got apparently that's like the one position they have a plethora of.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question, though, is Pete Thompson, do you trade one of the three prospects at the minor leagues, or do you trade Real Muto?
How many years does Real Muto have left on his deal?
He's got 3 more years.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be harder for them to find a buyer for Real Muto based on his age and his salary. You know what I mean? I think that's a tough fit. I think that, it's a young man's game. And I think, absolutely. You could ship out one of your 2 or 3 young catchers. I'd be okay with that. I mean, because what you're really looking for, Billy asked me this question over the weekend, is what is their greatest need? And I don't think he expected me to come back with, well, they need another starter like at the back. And so he says, okay. And I said, and, they really need a true center fielder. And then I thought about it and I said, and, they could use a true leadoff hitter. And quite frankly, they actually really need, you can always use a bullpen arm. So I was like up to 4. I think I ripped off 5 things in like a 20-second answer. And he's like, I asked you the one thing they needed. And I go, well, I gave you 5. That tells you they have a lot of holes to fill. There's no one magic bullet out there.
Yeah, no, look, you can't though, because of the fact that, the thing that frustrates a lot of fans, Pete, and I know you're more of a fan than an analyst, I'm more of the objective guy than the fan, but I even will admit, I understand where the fans are coming from. They're looking at this guy in Dave Dombrowski who won a World Series with the Marlins, who got the Tigers to the World Series, who won a World Series with the Red Sox. They're looking at we finally got a baseball guy, right? People love to say that, football guy, baseball guy. And the Philly fans feel let down because he gave them this flawed roster.
Well, I would think that the flawed roster was sort of also a product of the Andy McPhail and Klentak regime. They look, there's only so much Dombrowski could do in a short period of time. And I think that he's trying to remake it with both the long view and the short view in line, like that. Like, I'll just tell you right now, if Andrew Painter or Mick Abel or Griff McGarry are on a different team after the trade deadline, I'm going to be scratching my head because they're all top 100 prospects. They're all high-end rotation prospects. And I think based on his answer the other day when he said, I don't have a problem bringing a 20-year-old up, or I don't have a problem jumping a guy from AA to the big leagues. I think that if you look at Dombrowski's past, that's been his pattern. So I think he's just trying to put some Band-Aids on, get to the postseason. Look, Bryce Harper's 30, right? He hasn't played in a postseason game since basically his 25th birthday. And here they signed him to all this money, and he has all these productive. He was the reigning NL MVP. He was having an MVP season even before he got hurt. But how happy is Bryce Harper going to be if he goes another 5 years without making the playoffs? That's ridiculous. I think the moves that they're going to make are going to be moves to try and solidify them and get them into one of those wild card spots and then see what happens.
Tuesday with Thompson. He is Pete Thompson at the PT973 on Twitter, hanging out with us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea City. Pete Thompson writes an extra points column each week. He also writes That's Entertainment. And as I promised hours ago, coming up, Pete, this will be the best version of the That's Entertainment segment, because there's nobody who you work with here who is better equipped for this segment than me compared to the guy who usually sits in this chair.
All right. Well, that's a lot of pressure. I retweeted your thing and said that you were promising the best entertainment segment ever. So we'll see if we can live up to the hype.
Josh Hennig, Pete Thompson, hanging out with you on a Tuesday here on 97.3 ESPN.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Every vehicle, one dime down.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City. SpringfieldMitsu.com.
Almost 3 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. I'm Martin Hoke, and I invented Navage, the world's only nose cleaner that helps flush out airborne germs with powered suction. But what do doctors have to say about Navage? Here's Dr. Tonya Farmer, a board-certified ear, nose, and throat specialist.
Most airborne allergens and viruses enter through your nose. When that happens, it can cause congestion and irritation, and that just makes you feel miserable. You can get a cold, you can get flu, sinus infections, or even worse. Flushing your nose with a saline solution is the most effective way to flush all of those dangerous threats out of your nose. So now when patients come in my office, I tell them I highly recommend that you use Navage on a daily basis for overall good health and wellness.
And Navage is all natural and drug-free at Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
And now a small business setback, delivered by a kind French stranger.
Monsieur, there was an accident. The windshield of your catering van is, how do you say, kaput? But Progressive has an extensive network of repair shops. Now, we sing about the old days. Brave marin, rivière de guerre.
When things go wrong with your small business, it's important to know you have Progressive Commercial. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Croissance for everyone.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
If you want your dental visit to feel like this, try new Crest Densify. Crest Densify actively rebuilds tooth density to extend the life of teeth by remineralizing enamel. Crest, the #1 toothpaste brand in America.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
With South Jersey information you need to know, I'm Vin Avenue. Egg Harbor police arrest a Philadelphia man for luring as he tried to arrange a sexual encounter with a 15-year-old girl who turns out doesn't exist. A new state office is being set up specifically to sue gun manufacturers and sellers, and a New Jersey state lawmaker wants to offer child psychiatrists student loan relief and tax credits if they stay and practice in the Garden State. Get more South Jersey information right now on our app. Your forecast is next.
Do you have questions about Medicare? For personalized guidance from a local Medicare expert counselor, call the SHIP hotline. SHIP is the state health insurance assistance program that provides unbiased help to beneficiaries, their families, and caregivers. Free. Call SHIP today at 1-800-792-8820, 800-792-8820, or visit aging.nj.gov. This ad made possible by the New Jersey Division of Aging Services with funds from the U.S. Administration for Community Living.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. There are 2 opportunities for A good soaking coming up tomorrow, early and late. Otherwise, we'll enjoy another day of seasonable warmth and occasional peaks of sun. Fairly comfortable tonight, low of 68. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, high of 86, with an isolated shower or thunderstorm possible early and late. Thursday, hot and humid. Partly sunny with a chance of a pop-up thunderstorm, high of 91. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
With GM financing approved credit, excludes Corvette and prior sales.
Your car will never be worth more than right now at Bennett Chevrolet, because Bennett's paying a minimum $7,000 for any trade, running or not. That's a minimum $7,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. And we have our best selection of super clean pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in years. And remember, we're paying a minimum $7,000 for even the worst car on or even off the road. Just think how much more you'll get for a good quality trade. And unlike other dealers, Bennett's not selling new Chevys over factory sticker. Remarkable. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, there's 0% available financing. And we can get you out of your lease early. Any lease, any make, any model. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy one of ours. For a quick quote, just stop by. There's never any pressure or obligation, because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid based on your satisfaction. Find new roads at Bennett Chevrolet, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey sports leader.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN is being brought to you by American Airlines in Atlantic City International Airport. ACY now is your one-stop ticket to over 90 domestic and international destinations. Book your next trip today at AA.com. It is a Tuesday with Thompson. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. Pete Thompson still here as usual. Now, Pete Thompson writes, "That's entertainment." And unlike the person who usually sits in this chair, I actually watch movies and TV shows that the general public watches. Now, although Pete Thompson can't dialogue too much with me about Marvel announcing their entire slate of movies and shows for the next 4 years, we can talk about some other things today.
I did get an email about Marvel, and I was like, oh, I'll delete that. And then I thought, oh, wait, I'm on with Josh today. He might ask me a question about this. I think it was from Disney Plus, just telling me all the Marvel options that they have on there. No, look, whether it was you or Gil, either one of you would have known who Paul Sorvino was, though. I mean, that's what
correct.
My headline for this week's column is Paulie, Sonny, and Henry, because, since May 26th, we've lost now Paulie Cicero, that was Paul Sorvino, Paulie Walnuts, who was Tony Sirico from Sopranos, Sonny Corleone, Jimmy Kahn from The Godfather 1, and I think it flashbacks in 2, and then, of course, Henry Hill, Ray Liotta. So, I mean, could we please try to maybe just go a week or two without losing somebody from that genre? I mean, come on. It's crazy.
It's like, frankly, it's depressing to see all these guys just passing away left and right. I mean, you're talking about Ray Liotta, James Caan. These are legendary dudes. You know what I mean? Like, aside from just the genre, to me, I feel like you're losing a part of the history of Hollywood, basically.
I think so. And it's interesting because I knew Paul Sorvino, he got on my radar, obviously, for Goodfellas, but I had no idea that, he was James Caan's bookie in a movie called The Gambler in 1974. I was 3. I'm pleased to say that I've never watched Romeo and Juliet with Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. Not one time have I ever curled up with popcorn and watched that, so I had no idea he was in it. I did see Nixon, the Oliver Stone movie, and that was good, but and I didn't remember that he was in a couple of Warren Beatty movies. I've seen Reds, but I don't remember that he was in it. Dick Tracy, I more remember Al Pacino and Madonna than I remember Paul Sorvino, but Bulworth I remember. So I thought what was interesting was 2 things. One, he really wanted to be a singer, Paul Sorvino did, and he one time got a chance to perform at the New York Opera at the Lincoln Center in New York City, and he was scared bleepless, but he went out and did it and brought down a house and did a great job. And 2, he was the first detective on Law and Order.
Yep.
He was the partner with Chris Noth, who people know Chris Noth more for being Mr. Big in Sex and the City, but he was the first partner. And and Sorvino went on the record after the show, like years later after he left the show, and they asked him what it was like, and he said, "It was the most awful experience of my acting career." He says, nobody talked to anybody. You had no idea what the dialogue was until, he really kind of ripped Dick Wolf. But if Paul Sorvino doesn't leave that role, we don't get Jerry Orbach's Lenny Briscoe, who was in there for like 12 years. That's kind of the one guy that everybody remembers from the early years of Law and Order. So suffice to say, and they replayed that clip where Mira Sorvino won the Oscar for Mighty Aphrodite. And then they cut, she thanks her dad and they cut to him and he's bawling in the audience.
Right.
And I get choked up watching that. I mean, because you identify with this guy as being like the tough guy. Now I got to turn my back on you. Right. And in reality, he was just an old softy. It's funny. My girlfriend, Susan, says, who's that? And I said, well, that's his daughter, Mira Sorvino. And she goes, she won an Oscar? And I go, well, yeah, that's back when Harvey Weinstein used to rig the voting and he would basically buy that. I go, I don't think she's that good an actress, but neither do I think Gwyneth Paltrow's a good actress. Miramax was like a force to be reckoned with back in the day. And then of course we know where Harvey ended up. So.
Right. Well, back to Sorvino though. So my favorite role of his outside of Goodfellas was Kissinger and Nixon, because I thought he did an incredible job at portraying a character, an individual, not just a character, but an individual who in American history is as polarizing and as, brutally portrayed as he has, because a lot of people view Kissinger as in real life as more of a villain than Nixon was.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Kissinger is a tough one to nail because of the accent and the look, and I think that so when you get at any time an actor gets into prosthetics and an accent and things like that, it can really go poorly. I'm thinking of you, Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, but he nailed it. I mean, it's funny. Like when I wrote the column this week, the one of the credits that he had was that he played a strung out heroin addict in The Cooler. And I thought to myself, he was in The Cooler? Like, I love that movie, but that movie is so strongly dominated by William H. Macy and Alec Baldwin and a little bit of Maria Bello that you don't even remember the small role that Sorvino has as Buddy Stafford. But yeah, he was in that movie.
Now, one of the other things you wrote about in your That's Entertainment column is the new movie on Netflix, which I have watched, The Gray Man.
Yeah. What was your review?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was actually better than I expected because I wasn't expecting much of anything. I did not know what to expect because, first of all, the Russo brothers, their best Marvel movie was not a traditional Marvel movie. If you take away the names of the characters of Captain America, Winter Soldier, it's basically a spy thriller.
Okay.
So I was wondering, are they going to be superhero-y or are they going to be spy thriller-y? That was my first question. My second question was, I thought the trailers were confusing. The trailers were I was so confused after a while. I just got to a point where I gave up trying to figure out the trailers of what was going on. So I went in there with a completely open mind, and I love how the movie opens with Gosling and Thornton's character just sitting there, and it just sets the stage for the entire movie. Because after that, I was like, all right, I know where we're going with this. I'm buckled up. I'm ready.
Yeah, and that was my thing, is that I thought that I wanted it to be so much better based on the fact that, I've read some of the books. This is on a whole series of novels, The Gray Man. And I just thought, boy, if you're adapting it from a book, you've got so much material there. And instead, they took it more toward 18 locales, right? We're going to go in all these different locations, and we're going to do a big wide establishing shot. And just in case people don't know where the hell we are, we're going to put the text down there that says we're in Budapest or Singapore or wherever the hell these other places are that they went, right? That's first. And then secondly, it was just sort of like location set up to fight scene or action scene, location set up to action scene. Here's an idea. How about some plot? How about a dialogue? How about some depth to it? I didn't feel like genuine that it paid off. And I thought that the entire movie, look, I didn't turn it off. It's not the worst movie I ever saw. You know, I wouldn't, if I saw it in the theater, which it was out in the theater limited before it went to Netflix, I wouldn't have been upset and asked for my $14 back. But I also thought that, like, they didn't do a good enough job, in my opinion, of making me, like, I don't like anything, just like you said, you watch the opening scene. I don't like any movie that in the opening scene you can sit there and go, okay, I see where they're going to go with this. I see what there's like. No. Don't spoon feed me and tell me you're going to feel this, and then you're going to feel this, and then you're going to feel this.
The opening of the movie had the opposite impact on you that it had on me, basically.
Yeah, but, you know, movie reviews are like snowflakes. Everyone's different.
Well, the other thing I liked about it was I thought the cast did an incredible job.
I'll agree with that. And I love Billy Bob Thornton, so I was stoked that he was in it. I thought the girl, you know, ever since I saw her, and if you've never seen this movie, Josh, you got to see Knives Out. Have you ever seen Knives Out?
Yes. Now, doesn't Knives Out also have Chris Evans in it?
It does, and it also has Anna
Daniel
de Armas.
Craig.
Yeah, but Anna de Armas is the girl, is the female agent in this movie that you see, you know.
Well, but she was also she was an agent in the Bond movie too. So
yes, and she's not ugly. Yes, these are all good points for Anna de Armas. I mean, why don't you just take those two then? Take The Gray Man and stack it up against Knives Out. Which one's a better movie? Go.
Knives Out.
Yes, and why is that? Because
there's more of a plot.
There's more substance there. It's a classic whodunit. They you know, you peel back the layers of the onion. You got,
but also Knives Out is funnier. Like Knives Out, there's a lot of like dark humor in there. There's a lot of moments like that whole exchange between Chris Evans' character and his mother at one point. Like it's borderline funny and borderline awkward. And
wasn't his mother played by Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yes.
With her silver hair. Yeah,
Daniel Craig's the investigator.
Right, with his foghorn leghorn. Look. He and Charlie Manuel could have the same accent. Looky here, son.
Now, I wanted to know. So, for those who out there who are big fans of Game of Thrones,
yes,
Jessica Henwick is also in this. I thought her character is underrated.
Is that where I've seen her from? See, I wasn't a big Game of Thrones guy, but there's a lot of times where I'll look at a movie and I'll go, God dang it, who is that person? You know.
So she also played the character Colleen Wing in the Netflix Marvel shows back in the day.
Okay,
and she, for as incredible of an actress as she is, she got given the most raw deal on planet Earth. So I'm glad to see that, you know, after Game of Thrones and the failure of the Marvel Netflix shows at the end, which are being rebooted, that at least she's been given another chance. I thought one scene where she comes out and she just takes control of things, I was just like, all right, I see you, Jessica Henwick. Like, all right.
Yeah, well, and maybe you'll see her again and again. I mean, depending on how they do with the reviews and the money, there's no doubt that they want to have this be a series. They want it to be like a Bourne series. They want it to be like Mission Impossible. They want it to be like James Bond, quite frankly. So we'll see. We'll see if the numbers come back.
I don't know if they're going to do that, but I mean, look, I will say that I thought the Adam Project was better than this, though.
I enjoyed the Adam Project. That was with Ryan Reynolds, and he goes back and finds himself at age 10 or something. I enjoyed that. But that's, you know what? See, there's a difference right there. So who's the headliner in Gray Man, right? Who got top billing? Was it Gosling?
Yeah.
Okay, Gosling still can't carry a movie. But Ryan Reynolds can.
But also, you could argue that the person who actually carried the movie was Chris Evans, and he's the villain.
Yes, but it's just so much fun.
But like, how ironic is that?
Right.
Like, Chris Evans finally plays this like hyper villain.
Yeah, he's
And,
sadistic.
like-
Yeah, he's crazy.
And he's like the
nuts.
star of the movie.
Yeah, very much so. I would agree with that. Yeah. No, look, and I'm sorry. I liked Ryan Gosling in La La Land. I liked Ryan Gosling in a lot of his. Wasn't he? Was it not Baby Driver? What was the movie that he Drive? Right? Wasn't that a movie that he was
Drive.
in? You know, he's good when he doesn't have to carry the movie, when he can sort of enhance somebody else's performance. But
Right.
he'll get there. Good luck, or he won't.
He'll get there or he won't. All right, this is Entertainment with Pete Thompson on Tuesday with Thompson. I do have to agree with you. I was surprised that Nope did as well at theaters as it did. Not because I thought the movie was going to be bad. I just was curious how far Jordan Peele can take this genre.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been his thing. But you know, I guess it looked like the one trailer I saw looked like it maybe had a UFO or a cloud in it or something. And it I wrote the week before that as for this movie coming out, I'm taking the stance just like the title. Nope, not going to see it. Right. But everybody said, yep. I mean, $44 million it made. I love Quentin Tarantino, and I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood only got 41 million on its opening weekend. So here's this Jordan Peele movie that people did go see. I'll see it when it gets out of the theaters and I can sit in my lazy boy and watch it. I'll see it then.
So a couple other things I want to hit on with you. One, you mentioned the FX show with Jeff Bridges. So my dad is watching that. I haven't started watching it because I've taken the position that I need to finish up a couple of my other shows before I start a new one. Because I'm juggling like 4 or 5 different things here, trying to finish all of them before the start of football season here.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm almost done with Lucifer. I'm finally in season 6 of Lucifer, which is the final season. I'm almost done season 8 of The Blacklist. I have 1 episode left of rewatching White Collar, and of course, Marvel is on a temporary hiatus till their next show comes out at the end of August. So I'm hoping that I can get to watch Jeff Bridges before the end of August. That's the goal right now, because everything I've heard from you to everyone else is this show is must watch.
Oh yeah, and the right out of the gate, like the first 3 or 4 episodes are just riveting. The acting is so good, the plot is great, the way it connects together. They do that Hollywood 101, which is let's reveal a little nugget right before we put the title card up, where it leaves your audience going whoa, right? But I will say this, and I wrote about this in my column, that the credits at the end of the 7th and final episode from season 1. Susan had already gone to bed. I'm sitting down here watching it in the dark because, it's always better to watch it in the dark, right? And the scene ends, the final scene ends, and I literally said out loud, "That was it? Like come on, like what?" So I was a little disappointed in the ending, but again, I guess that I might have the I don't like when you're setting me up for a season 2 disease, and there's definitely going to be a season 2, so.
Well,
I should just accept it.
Yeah, you should accept it. Couple
of
things.
But I will say this: it's been on FX and Hulu. When season 1 of Fargo ended, the show Fargo, not the movie, but the show. When that season ended, and I remember telling Mike Gill this one time, I literally sat up in bed and clapped because it was such an unbelievable ending to the season 1 of the show Fargo. So you can end a season on a high note. You don't always have to leave them hanging and kind of unfulfilled.
All right. So before I let you go, Pete, we got to drift back into my world here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
First of all, your synopsis of Super Pets could have been a little better.
Super Pets is going to come out with Crypto the Super Dog and Superman are inseparable best friends, right?
No, that's not important. What's
my
important
synopsis of it?
The important thing is that it's Dwayne Johnson in a Kevin Hart comedy.
Sure. What about Keanu Reeves as Superman?
That's more of like so that's an Easter egg for fans out there. For those who don't know, Keanu Reeves at some
Batman. He plays Batman. I apologize.
Keanu Reeves has basically auditioned for almost every superhero role at some point in his life. So it's kind of like a running joke that he gets to be a voiceover for like a superhero.
Well, remember how good Michael Keaton was in like Toy Story 3,
right?
When he played the Ken doll.
Right.
Those small roles sometimes can be what turn the movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to I won't be able to see it this weekend, but I want to see it at some point because I'm looking forward to laughing hysterically.
Are you anti-Minion? I mean, I the reason I didn't poo-poo it, I just said I can't see it before the Minions because, I haven't seen my Minions yet.
So I never fully got on the Minions train. I haven't seen all the movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I see the new one if I haven't seen the one before that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you add that to your list then. Go back and watch the first Minions movie.
And then before I let you go, Pete, I want to just put it out there that I know you're not a big Marvel guy because you're behind on everything.
Okay.
But let me tell you something. The She-Hulk show is going to be hilarious.
Marvel that's a television series.
That's on Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So basically,
what was Tatiana Maslany in? What was she in? She was in something, right?
She was. I gotta double check it real quick. But
Orange is the New Black, maybe? All right, keep going.
Basically, the show is She-Hulk's a lawyer. And she's the cousin of Bruce Banner. And the whole thing is that
Orphan Black. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's her figuring out how to juggle her professional life and her superhero life.
She-Hulk. I probably shouldn't admit this on the radio, but I did have Hulk pajamas when I was like a 7-year-old. They were great. They were green. They were great. I loved them. So I got to tell you, I got a little partial. I do tend toward the Hulk, man. I'm talking like Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. That's who I'm talking about.
By the way, Tatiana was also on that Perry Mason TV show on HBO.
Oh, yeah. She was really good in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, she was Sister Alice.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I did watch that. That's the dude from The Americans that played the lead detective in that one.
That's correct.
Reese, Matthew Reese. And I did that all of that. Did that all
There's
of
your
that.
most recent reference for her. She's in a bunch of other things like Heartland before and stuff like that. But
saw somebody put out on social media that their binge watch show of the summer was Yellowstone. I came back at him and said, well, better late than never. And I think they said something like, well, I don't really like Kevin Costner. And I'm like, fine. Faith Riley, who plays Beth, Cole Hauser, who plays Rip. I mean, even if you don't like Kevin Costner, for God's sakes, the show is award-winning for a reason. But I digress.
All right, Pete, gotta let you go. Good conversation today.
Thanks, buddy. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, stay in touch.
Okay.
I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill. We'll wrap up the show on the other side. Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN.
When you need live sports play-by-play.
Forget it. Out of here. Reese Hoskins will touch them all over that right center field wall.
And the best sports talk in South Jersey. There's only one place to go. 97.3 ESPN.
The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and get you back on the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
We're Town Square Media, and along with the awesome radio station you're listening to right now, we're publishers of best-in-class national entertainment brands like Taste of Country, Pop Crush, and more. And when combined with our local brands, we can reach over 70% of consumers in our community. At Town Square, all this digital clout puts us in a unique position to help local businesses grow with powerful marketing solutions. In addition to local radio, we're experts at web design and SEO, plus targetable advertising solutions like streaming TV, addressable geofencing, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, Spotify, search engine marketing, and so much more. That may sound like a lot of buzzwords, but really all that matters is we can deliver a relevant and ideal target audience to your business with data-informed decisions. No guessing, no waste, and you gain a trusted marketing partner with Town Square Media.
Take your business to the next level. Call our Director of Sales, Jim McLean, today at 609-910-5247.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Okay, import footage. How is the hard drive already full?
Jawan's Pilates studio converted to entirely virtual classes.
What's MPEG?
But leading and editing sessions is stretching her too thin.
It says render failed. What I do?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Mom, Dad, you should shop Amazon for back to school and save some money. See, I'm currently obsessed with superheroes and need all the superhero stuff. Superhero lunchbox, superhero backpack. But next year, it'll be something else. Maybe dinosaurs? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But I can tell you not to spend a fortune and shop low prices for school on Amazon. Okay, good chat. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can really control your savings. Because when you drive less, you save more with pay per mile. So you're really in control of your savings. Only paying for the miles you drive. Yeah. Life is good when you're in the driver's seat. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company, Norfolk, Illinois.
If you're in HR, you're probably wearing a lot of hats. Recruiter, team builder, trainer, mediator, policymaker, and of course, paper pusher. But not anymore. Bamboo HR is the #1 HR software for small and medium businesses. It manages all your employee data easily and automates countless tasks, so you can focus on people, not paperwork. Bamboo HR frees you from spreadsheets, so you can do your real job, creating a great place to work. If the data shuffle and paperwork mountain have you ready to hang up all your hats, you're ready for Bamboo. If you handle HR records and paperwork, Bamboo HR is a dream. Let us free up your time and put your days of pushing paperwork behind you so you can focus on the people and making your company a great place to work for everyone. Try PC Magazine's top pick for HR software free today. Just go to bamboohr.com/panda. This is a limited offer only available to radio listeners at bamboohr.com/panda. That's bamboohr.com/panda.
O'Reilly.
Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, wrapping up the show, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday on 97.3 ESPN. Busy show today. Thanks again to Pete Thompson for Tuesday with Thompson, Adam Caplan, NFL Insider Football at 4, Frank Klose for the Phillies Mailbag, and Steve Buchanan from DraftKings. Talking about baseball today. Thanks to all of you for listening, all of you for texting in and your messages throughout the day. One last check on the poll question of the day. Taco Tuesday, what do you drink with your tacos? 57% go tequila. Only 42% are going cerveza. You can keep voting. We'll get the final vote results tomorrow on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. I'll be back tomorrow filling in for Mike Gill again as he is on vacation. Coming up next, the best of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night.
Hi, this is Billy Schwein from The Locker Room. Join me and my co-host, former chief of the Longport Beach Patrol, Dan Adams, and captain of the Wildwood Beach Patrol, Ed Snyder, Friday night from 6 to 8 p.m. as we broadcast the 51st annual Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races live from the beach in Wildwood.
97.3 ESPN's live coverage of the Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Races is brought to you by New Jersey's Coastal Insurance Specialists, the Coastline Insurance Agency in Wildwood. by Dino's Subs, a Margate landmark since 1964, located at 8016 Ventnor Avenue in Margate. By McCann Realtors, dedicated, experienced, and knowledgeable. A family tradition since 1939 in Sea Isle City. And by Blitz's Market of Ocean City, located at 21st and Asbury. They now have online ordering at blitzesmarkets.com.
Friday night from 6 to 8 p.m. The 51st Annual Dutch Hoffman Memorial Lifeguard Race is live from the beach in Wildwood.